Probably something we should have talked about.
Yeah, there's an art to starting fashionably on time. So if within the first 3 seconds of the video you say, "Okay, welcome," I feel like that's pretty aggressive. Maybe they want to.
I'm an aggressive person, Jim.
All right, you can go. You can.
All right, Hardcore Yappin.
It's been long enough.
Hardcore Yappers episode 2. Just a little peek behind the curtain of what our life looks like when you're not watching.
Terrible.
Nothing's different.
It's exactly the same. We're the same people. If you watched episode 1, that's just us. We're talking about competitions today. We're going to go into what that looks like. Our competition that we just did, all 3 of us were present. Me and Jake competed there. And just kind of like go over what the idea of competitions feels like in a general sense. See if we can provide you guys some help and understanding for what we do.
Yeah, I love the topic of conversation today. Competitions are something I feel really passionately about, not just in like strength sports. I just think competition in general is good.
I love that you say it because we talked about this, and I love the conversation around like competition as a concept. It's so much fun because we've talked about it drives all of human progress. In general,
I think you could even zoom out, right? Like you look at we're not gonna go too crazy.
We're already on a tangent.
But
40 seconds in.
Yeah.
If you ask somebody what's a fundamental thing, right? What's a word they use a lot? Like starts with an F.
Yeah.
Say the word.
Say the word.
Newton's laws of
physics.
Okay.
Starts with a P.
Force. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Different forces, right? There's like fundamental forces in the universe. My bad.
I thought you were talking about a 4-letter word.
Good. We were not on the same page. It happens.
That's what I thought about it. I was like,
okay. Fundamental forces oppose each other.
Yes.
Right? And that is like competition. That's how fundamental it is to me, is like it's so ingrained in us.
Genuinely gravity is competition.
Yeah, that's what I mean, right? Like it's fundamental, right?
Yeah.
2 forces opposing each other is competition. That's what I mean by competition. Like how
Continue.
it is. And I think that's a part of why we enjoy it so much, or why I enjoy it so much, is because I think it's normal. Competition is fundamental. There's a lot of things that means. Resources are finite. You can only live so long and at such a quality, and all of that has to do with resources.
Yes.
And that means competition matters.
So, yeah, I mean, as far as a competition is referenced, when we think on a standard basis of competition, we're talking about I fight somebody else for something I want. But it doesn't always mean exactly that. Because it's the same idea of like, if I apply for a job, right, and I really want this job, my resume is in competition. And I'm competing with everybody else who wants that job. And that's something that a lot of people are really excited about. Even if you're not a competitive person, quote unquote, if you're not watching me, you still, when you put in an application, have that little bit of like, this is an opportunity I have. Like, I can do something cool. And other people are also applying. So you go in the interview with the context of I need to show up to impress. You're still competing. It's just a more passive version of competition.
By the way, that's Jackson.
Well,
we didn't do that.
I'm here this time.
Yeah,
I'm present.
Yeah. He was kind enough to show up on competition day for us. Let's not talk about physics for a minute.
Let's rewind.
Let's talk about
back to the
competitions.
beginning.
Yeah.
So we recently competed specifically in a powerlifting competition. That's mostly what I do. That is really what you have done for how long?
Oh my God. 2017, 8 years.
Okay.
That's when I started competing.
Okay. How many times, ballpark, would you say you have been to, and this is a big number, I'm going to make you think for a second.
Okay, I know what you're
Make you think for a second. Been to, in general, whether that is competed at, coached at, visited, anything. Like, are we talking triple digits?
No, I wouldn't say
probably not. Okay.
No, that's insane.
It is.
There was probably about 2 years where I went to like almost every meet in Oregon, if not every meet in Oregon. So I think it's probably between like 30 and 60. There's a big range, but like it's I don't track them. Like I've done.
Well, why would you? Right?
Yeah.
Absolutely nonsense question. I'm with you.
Sure.
That being said, I think of the three of us here, you've probably been to the most by quite a bit. Jackson was kind enough to come up and support us this last March 8th, was it?
8th and 9th. Was
Eighth
the
and
day.
Eighth and ninth.
I was there on the 8th. That was a long drive.
Yeah.
I left at about 4:30 for Tacoma. I didn't get home till about 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yep.
That was a long drive.
Yeah. Long day.
It was a lot of fun though.
It was
That was a
blast.
really, really well put together meet.
It was. Can we talk
phenomenal
about that for a second?
I absolutely wanted to talk about
This
today.
was my first PLU meet attending
Yeah.
or competing in, and it was awesome.
Yeah.
I have been around some of the people before, so it's not a totally new slew of faces and names, but it was run very nice. Smooth. I have only good things to say.
This was so many things. Britt Holloway, Megan Myers put on one of the most professional meets I've ever seen in my life. As many meets I've been to, this was incredible. It was almost like a spiritual experience, kind of. Like if you've been in the powerlifting environment, it kind of feels like that because Megan, at the end of the meet, had this big speech of how the vision she had for it, and she wanted to be a celebration of the powerlifting community in the Pacific Northwest. And we have a really strong powerlifting community up here. There's very few areas that have as many gyms, as many athletes, as many competitions as we do up here. And it's still divided so far. Yeah, it's still divided so far because we have all these federations, and Powerlifting United is centered around community. That's what they want. They want to give back. They want to promote the sport. They want to make it a big thing that everybody gets to have a really good time doing, and give back to coaches. I guess, in a way, give back to referees, give back to meet directors, and push everybody to perform at their best. And it showed so strongly here. It was incredible.
What a meet, dude.
They had a fog machine. They had done lights. They did a backdrop on the backdrop.
Water bottles. Okay.
Oh my god.
Yes. Free candy.
Can I just
the
say,
entire
that
crowd.
was sponsored.
The entire
That
crowd.
was a sponsored
But
thing.
the sponsorships were
Also
brought in.
great. Yeah, honestly, it was a really good meet. The lifting that
Oh
was
my
done
God.
at the meet too
Yeah.
was
Just even as a spectator, it
probably
was
the highest tier of meet I've been to, and it was a regional meet, so it was
competitive.
Yeah. But
Wow.
regional meet isn't like we had, and I've been to world meets, I've been to national meets. This is the most competitive meet I've ever been to.
I think
I would say by far.
and I think Brian posted this. We talked about Brian in the last episode. Shout out Brian again.
Brian Gifford, squat 900, man,
yes,
free.
that was
Oh my god.
So cool to
He
watch.
posted it on his
Oh my
Instagram. That
God.
was a top 13 in the world
Yes.
all time.
Yes.
Right, like no other category around that.
Mhm.
Right, just top 13
Yeah.
ever.
Yeah.
Think about that for a second.
And let me.
That's crazy.
I want to carry on the back of this. We also had, at minimum, I think we had 4 700-pound squats.
Yeah.
I think we actually had more, but we had 4 700-pound squats at this meet.
Dude,
We had
it was an
2.
awesome meet.
Yeah, we had a 900-pound pull at this meet. We had like a couple like mid-4 bench presses. We had one Sean Doyle pull or try to press like 480, I think was the second. And Sean Doyle came out of like a 6-year hiatus for this competition, which was incredible to watch because if anybody of you does not know Sean Doyle, Sean's been competing for like 20 plus years. Mm-hmm. He's one of the strongest men in the world. He's been to a bunch of the big dogs meets. There's a meet in Australia that you had to have like a 2,000-pound total minimum to show up at, and Sean's had a 2,400 competition total.
What a number.
He's just an incredibly powerful man. He's very, very strong. He's one of the nicest people too, and like he's a great guy. So like getting to see him compete on the same platform and see him compete with other people who are actually able to put up similar numbers anywhere close, right, is incredible. It's an experience that not many people get, and a lot of us got because of the quality of this meet.
Yeah.
So it was
Shout
incredible.
out Britt and Megan. Good job, guys.
Incredible job. It was so good. They put out trees behind the back of the platform, which is Pacific Northwest, by the way, for reference. It's what we do. It's really, really cool.
I got yelled at
trees.
for calling them Christmas trees.
They were Christmas trees.
They were Christmas trees.
They were.
But then
Evergreen.
I
tree.
True.
I said they look like Christmas trees, and she walked by and yelled at me and said, "No, they're evergreen trees," and then walked away.
Yeah.
So
Megan wants her vision recognized. Yeah, it showed up. Like, it was crazy. The level of community that showed up, and like part of it was we donated from Hardcore equipment, and it was brought out to the warm-up room. So they had donated equipment from other gyms in the area.
Yeah, it was a team effort.
It really was. It was incredible. It was one of the best things I've been a part of. Like, I almost was in tears when Megan was talking at the end. How did you do, Jake? I want to talk about you first because you're important. Because I want to talk about your competition.
Okay, all right.
Let's whatever.
Here's the quick and dirty.
Okay.
I am satisfied, if not a little. What's the word? Happy.
Okay.
Content.
Tentatively use happy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Like real soft. Okay.
Sure.
Realistically, my squat was amazing.
Yes.
Tore an Achilles last April. Never got the surgery from it. That's a long story. We're still working on blah blah blah.
We'll deal with that later.
Not the point of this conversation. Squatted 10 pounds under my all-time PR, and it flew.
Yeah.
Yay! Awesome, fantastic. Walked away from that. Felt great. My bench was underwhelming, as it normally is, and that's okay. It's all good. We're still learning.
Man, we're in the same boat there.
Yep. So my first attempt flew. It felt like it was like an RPE8.
Yes.
Boom.
Yep.
Went up 5 kgs and it destroyed. That's okay. Moving on. My deadlift also went very okay.
Yeah.
Like Jackson said, it was a really long day. I was there 7 a.m. coaching.
Yes. And also coaching during our flight.
Yeah.
That was watching you do that.
I was
difficult.
a little distracted for sure. So by my third attempt deadlift, I was just tired.
Mm-hmm.
I went for a 10-pound PR-ish, 11-pound PR, and I just didn't have it in the tank.
Yeah.
And I think, like I said, other than my bench, walking away from this competition, I should be definitely content, if not a little happy. Right, my training has.
You did well.
Continued.
I mean,
yeah,
it was just
I'm
a really solid meet. You put up good numbers.
Yeah,
It's
haven't
just-
competed in about a year. Put up some decent numbers. Getting back on the horse.
Yeah, and I want to talk about you first because the fact that you coached during your flight is
that was interesting.
It's such a it's hard to explain if you haven't coached before because, well, I'm not lifting weights if I coach like an athlete through a meet. The emotional roller coaster that I go through is exactly. I probably feel more nerves, more anxiety, more like excitement when they miss it, and sadness when they lose it.
Yeah.
Excitement when they hit it. I feel more sadness when they lose it. Like I have all these experiences and emotions. And if you're going to the platform 15 minutes before me, I'm drained. I'm ruined. And you had, by the time deadlifts rolled around, effectively, you were around, that's like the 18th lift that you've been a part of today.
Yeah,
You know?
it was a tiring day. So like I said, I was just a little tired. And that's okay.
Yeah.
I talked to you before your deadlifts. I was just like, dude, you just look tired.
Yeah.
I was very
It was.
Yeah.
But that's okay. Like I said, I think it went well. I'm really happy with how I did. What's next for Jake? We'll see.
Yeah.
I'm not totally sure. Definitely another powerlifting meet, probably towards the end of the year.
Yeah.
When, where, who knows?
Tons of opportunities. So many meets.
Can we talk about you?
Fine, we'll talk about me. Okay.
Yay.
The heavy stuff.
Yeah, that's something exciting.
I guess it's exciting. I don't know. So
my total.
maybe. So yeah, meet was good. I'll talk about the girl I coach first, Bryn, who was really cool. I love talking about this because Bryn is a phenomenally gifted athlete. She has a series of fingers missing, which is always something that comes up when people see her lift the first time because she has to wear straps. She physically cannot grip a barbell.
Yeah.
She only has like a pinky, and it's not quite exactly a pinky, and a thumb on both hands. And that doesn't really work for holding things, obviously. So
She's so strong.
But she's so strong. She is genuinely like a gifted powerlifter.
Yeah.
She came in and she had like zero technique, no training that formally like came in, and she was still putting up like a 3 times bodyweight deadlift and like all these numbers. And it was one of the things where she's very, very strong naturally. Yeah. But like when we put in technique, it was a lot of like thinking now of, I need to make this change. I need to make this change. There was a drop, right? Because she was strong because she was never afraid of the weight. She was never afraid of doing it wrong. And going into the meet, we made a lot of technique changes, which in the long term is going to make her very strong.
Yes.
But it's hard to see the numbers go down first.
It is.
And we figured out her deadlift.
Oh my goodness. What a topic of conversation.
We could go down a huge line of this, right? But like we're gonna touch on softly for this one because we have already a huge episode, right?
This is probably gonna be pretty long.
It's gonna be a long episode. But so talking about the competition, we came in and we literally figured out her deadlift 2 weeks before the meet.
How long can we back up a second? How long have you been working with her?
Oh, I don't even remember. I'd say like 6
It's been a while.
6 to 8 months.
She's been around for a while.
Yeah.
I've been seeing her. You guys usually train on Sundays. So
yep.
That's usually when you do all your training. But
yeah.
Cool. Okay, so she is going to nationals?
She's going to nationals. She won her class.
Okay.
So we're in a great position because she's a junior.
She's still a junior?
She's a junior.
That's crazy.
She's 23.
Wow.
I think she's 23. She might be 22.
Okay.
But she's incredibly good lifter, right? Yeah. So very, very good. And we had to feed her into the meet. So she bulked into the meet. So her weight class, she came in. There's no competition. She's very small. And she wants to gain weight anyway. So I'm like, cool, let's feed you up. Let's get you big as possible. Give you a bunch of food, which is already hard for her.
Yeah.
Going to give you a bunch of food. You're going to go to the weight class above you. And that's going to push you to make weight higher. Because we have no stakes, you know?
Yeah.
The qualifications are dots. You're going to win your class no matter what because there's nobody in her weight. And even if there is, probably not going to beat her. She is very good.
Yes.
And then we got into the meet. She won her first place medal, which she doesn't care about at all because she wanted to lift heavier weights. And we're going up to nationals in New Jersey here together in July. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So she did a really good job, though. I mean, like we didn't get all of our lifts for sure with her, but she got a ton of experience in the meet. And I think that her being able to see other people lifting around her body weight, around her age group, whatever, is really good for her reference range. Because she compares herself to the 198, 205 women, and Brenna's like 107 pounds at her heaviest so far.
Yeah, after she's
been bulking into a meet.
Yeah, and she's tiny.
So
super tiny.
She's literally comparing herself to women double her size.
Yes.
And she's like, oh, but I'm not that strong. I'm like, no, you have no understanding.
Be. Right. That's crazy.
You should never be even close to competing with them, but you still are.
Yeah.
Which is wild, you know?
Yes.
So it was a great meet. I was really proud of what she did. I was really happy with how we got through the meet. And like, it's an emotional roller coaster going through something like this because it's easy to see the day and be like, oh, you did a bench of 200 pounds. Cool. But you don't see the 6 to 8 months of training that everybody does to get to that point of that day. And the emotional baggage that comes in with you of the bad days, the great days, the stress, the weight cuts, everything that goes around it, the conversations with your coach of, I don't know if I can do it. Like, I really wanted this number, but maybe it's not going to happen. They're talking about, oh, I misrep groove this rep. Do you think it's going to ruin my prep? Like all these things that come up in the process of getting there, and then you get there.
Losing it over here.
I know.
There's so many things I want to interrupt you and be like, can we talk about this for a second?
We're going to get into most of them too, but like, give it time. It's so much context, right? It's a huge process of getting into this day. Yeah. And you show up and you put it all on the line and you're in front of a crowd, you're in front of judges, you're literally being told if it's good enough. You. Yeah.
Pay to come see you too.
Right. They literally say your lift is good enough or it's not good enough. Yeah. And then you have to kind of just take it, right? Like you only have 3 attempts to do it and you're either going to get it or you're not. And so there's a lot of emotional backlash that comes after these meets of either it can be great or it can be really bad. So it's seeing on the day, see people get really emotional, very excited. Like there's a lot of interaction with people with the crowd, with the cameras that are live streaming. But understand it's something that they've put a tremendous amount of work into. You know,
competitions are crazy.
They're crazy.
There's so many things to talk about. Okay, Bryn. I'm trying really hard to stay on topic. Bryn did awesome.
Bryn did awesome.
Yay, she's going to nationals. Jameson did
pretty well.
No. Word. Jameson did
fine.
It's a 4-letter word.
Is that not the best? Whatever.
It's the best.
It starts with a G and it's still 4 letters.
Okay, so the only thing that went poorly at this meet, 5, because overall it did go very well. It was great.
Fine, by the way.
Yeah. It's really good. Fine is a 4-letter word.
I didn't say 4 letters.
Yes, you did. Anyway, we're moving on. Okay, so meet went really well. We wanted to cut the squat a little bit short because it hasn't been going all that great in prep, so we kind of just stopped at like 584, which is a number I've done a couple dozen times, and it's not a huge deal. Something that we could go into, get a good amount of weight on a total, and pull out to bench and deadlift. I've had so many issues with bench press leading into this meet. I had a left pec that was like probably moments from tearing for about 3 weeks. And that was an issue. And then I had my right shoulder basically never sit in the socket for the last 4 weeks. And it's still actually like that a little bit now. But on the day of, I felt nothing. And that was really cool. So we didn't go to the top end of what we could have, but we had enough range to play with it a little bit. So planned was 451. After my first 2, I messaged coach and I was like, hey, there's 100% more here. Please let me do more. Please. I had big aspirations of this meet, so I wanted to get something that I've never done before, at least in a competition, which any of the numbers we planned would have been, but I wanted it to be something that I was proud of. So we finished out with 463. It moved fairly well, and I didn't have any pain. And so for me, huge win there.
Huge win.
That's a double bodyweight bench press, and it's the first one I've ever done in competition. So I'm pretty happy with that.
I would love to see some stats on how many people ever have double weight benched in competition.
Yeah.
Because the number is not
really low.
Not very many.
It's not a metric that people use to measure
At a high
athletes
competition
very
level.
often.
Yeah.
But the number is
Really
very
low
small.
number.
That is an elite level bench. Good job, dude.
Thank you. The only thing that didn't go great was deadlift. Oh, you're sitting in a weird spot, Jackson. I'm sorry.
You're looking that way.
Yeah. So deadlift was okay. I actually ended up probably opening too light.
I think so.
You did.
The opener was like 683, and I just smoked through it. And whatever, Jackson. So I just smoked through it, and I came to lockout, and I was like, yay! And then it whipped back into me so hard, and I just got kicked forward, and I was like, oh no! And I apologized to the head ref. I'm like, I'm so sorry. Because it was for sure a red light, because the downward movement, the whole thing.
Absolutely.
And I talked to a buddy of mine, and I was like, hey, I kind of feel like I should go up, right? Like, that was really easy. And he's like, yeah, you needed to go up. Like, that's way too light. And I was like, quite cool. So I went up to 727 for a second, basically moved it the exact same way, and it caught me on whip again. And I was like, okay, I need to go really slow. And I locked out, I held it, but I had a little kick at the top. And so for reference, people who haven't been through competitions, one of the guidelines for deadlift is you have to show full control when you stand up. You fully lock out and you hold the bar until you are given a command to put it back down. And you have to maintain a locked out position until you get that down command. If you have any movement that is other than up, you are disqualified. Like that lift is disqualified.
Yep.
So I got kicked forward on whip being the bar bends. If the bar comes up really fast, that bend is going to pull back down really hard.
Mm-hmm.
And that is
Forces.
bad. Yeah, forces. Right.
That's in motion.
Yeah, it's fun.
Stay in
Physics.
We're back.
I-
We're back to
What's
it.
that from? Ancient Aliens?
Oh, it's
I don't know the actor, but it's
Aliens.
Yeah, I love it. He's so funny.
Science.
Yeah.
I feel like I have the hair for it right now,
You,
too.
dude, just take it out.
Okay.
Yeah,
What were we talking about?
the deadlift. So
the deadlift.
the second one got relegated
He
to
remembers.
that was a no lift, and then the third lift I came back. I'm like, okay, I need to pull this basically as slowly as possible, which we did. Came up, locked it out. It was fine. Got my white lights, which means I'm still in the meet. Also, for reference, if you get any lift, squat, bench, or deadlift, you miss all 3 attempts, you don't compete anymore. You're done. Nothing matters that you did. It doesn't get
We
recorded.
haven't even spoken about what a powerlifting meet is.
Well, I'm giving them reference. We want to know about the meet. I have to give them
I
reference
know,
for
I
these
know, but
things.
should,
I feel like if you're
order
watching
of
this,
operation.
if you're watching this podcast, you probably know what a powerlifting.
Well, not necessarily. There's a lot of people here who have never competed at all.
That's fair.
we did a whole episode on spotting.
But
So, like,
spotting's much more
yes,
universal.
That's fair.
it is, but that's the point, right? It is much more universal, meaning if we're talking to that audience already, we should probably continue.
Yeah. So, yes, we'll get into all the details. Right? Like, that's the very next
You have a
topic.
plan. All right.
I do.
I'm so sorry.
You're good. If you miss any of your lifts, if you don't get one qualified squat, one qualified bench, one qualified deadlift, you are disqualified from the meet, which means you don't place, you don't get medals, your numbers don't get recorded anywhere. It doesn't mean anything. You're basically wiped. Everything is just whatever.
Yes. And depending on I don't know if this is federation to federation, but I know in the federation that I am accredited to run a meet in, it is the meet director's discretion if the lifter is allowed to continue lifting.
Yes.
So if it happens on squat or bench,
Yep.
and the person still wants to deadlift, it's up to the meet director.
Which in most cases they will let you.
Yes.
In almost all cases, unless you had done something egregious after that lift,
Yeah.
usually they're going to let you do it.
Yes. Yeah.
So on that, next thing for me is we're going to go to nationals in July for PLU, which would be a ton of fun. My coach's going to be
Where
up
is
there. in New Jersey.
Ooh, you ever
Such
been
a
to
trip.
New Jersey?
No, but it's like, so we're on the border of New York. Like, it is literally
cool.
as close to New York as it can be without being New York.
Gotcha.
So I've been to New York once,
Okay.
but like Long Island only.
Ooh.
So it'll be fun.
Same. I've never, not as an adult, right? Like
Yeah,
that's a very different experience going somewhere versus going somewhere
With your parents
with
or whatever.
autonomy
Yeah.
and your own money.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, it's expensive.
they're different experiences. That's
Yes.
like it's almost like flying somewhere and you have a layover in Ireland. I've been to Ireland. No, you haven't. You've never been there.
I can't relate.
Yeah, you're.
Mhm. But yeah, that's gonna be the next meet. We're gonna go have a great time with it.
Cool.
It'll be fun.
New Jersey will be interesting.
It'll be a fun meet. I think it's gonna be a good time because from what I've heard, this WRPF kind of became PLU in a sense, and so the meet that was run last year, that is run by the same people, was very competitive, and so I think we're gonna have a really good time.
Yeah.
I think it'll be really fun.
I think it's gonna be sweet.
So on that next, talk about what a competition is because that is really important to the entire episode.
Yeah.
It sounds like you want to take over a little bit. Go ahead.
I would love to chat for a second.
Do it.
Okay. So our idea for the episode was to talk about competitions.
Yeah.
And we started out by talking about competitions and how I feel about them and how important they are to human beings. Everything in general, but let's talk about humans because that's what we are.
That's what we have reference for.
Yeah. I think it's awesome. I think it's a really good way to keep yourself accountable.
Yeah.
That being said, we are powerlifters.
Yep.
So that's the competition that we choose. It is a strength-based sport in which you compete to lift really heavy things in specific ways.
Mhm.
The first way is a squat. You put the barbell on your back. You squat all the way down, blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to break down all the rules. The second one is bench press, which you're probably also familiar with. And then the third one's a deadlift. You get 3 attempts on each one. Quick hitter rules that kind of matter. You cannot go down in weight. If you fail a weight, you need to be able to do it next time, basically. So that's a thing that new people will run into is they will be a little overzealous with their opener and can really mess themselves up. You'll do 3 squats, you'll do 3 benches, you'll do 3 deadlifts. And you're done. You're only compared against people of both your age range and weight class and gender.
Yes.
So
unless you're going for best lifter.
Yes. Okay. So yes.
Or if you go in open.
No, it's still there. It's an age class.
That's open. Open is the age class.
No, I know, but I'm
Oh, but
saying junior.
That's
should be
true.
Open.
Okay.
That's true.
Thank you, Peanut Gallery.
I'm not doing open.
As far
Not
as
a good
how
idea.
competitions are awarded and whatnot, that doesn't super matter. You compete, you lift heavy things 3 times. There's 3 judges. Judges say good, bad.
Yep. And they run, it's basically what's called like a flight, which is usually around 10 people.
Yep.
Most meets are 2 to 3 flights right now because there's been a lot of sessions that have been done, which I'm not going to break into, but sessions are a big thing that's kind of new.
I have thoughts.
It's much faster. Do you want to talk about it? I love
Thank
sessions.
you, Kai. I don't like sessions.
I really like
hate
it.
them.
I don't have an opinion. I don't think I have.
You don't have to
Maybe
do
I
that
would
one
feel
yet.
different if I wasn't
I'm not
coaching
qualified
and
enough.
competing. Maybe I'm biased. Maybe I had not a bad experience, but
A difficult
an
one.
experience that would
Hinder.
lean towards or away from sessions.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
fair.
That being said, I will reserve judgment.
Okay. Maybe we need to break down what sessions are because we're kind of talking about it now for a moment.
It's not hard. If you take flight, right, so normally you do flights A, B, and C. All of flight A will squat, all of flight B will squat, all of flight C will squat.
Yep.
And then everybody will bench, and then everybody will deadlift. In sessions, you just take that and you would split it. So flight A and B go in the morning session, and they squat, bench, dead. And then flight C goes in the afternoon session. And then we're going to make up a random flight D now, too, just so this makes more sense.
Sure.
And then flight D, right, flight C and D do all of their 3.
So actually, on the
In the
meet too that we
afternoon.
did, one of the things I wanted to bring up that I thought was really cool is we only did 1 flight on the second day that the meet was running.
How did they
So-
do that? I'm so curious. I wasn't able to make
Awards.
it. I had to leave.
Awards were done afterwards. So instead
No,
of,
that's not my thing.
no, but that's kind of like
Okay.
where I was going towards. But go ahead and ask your question.
Yeah, I have a question. I'm so sorry for interrupting.
You're good.
What do they do between squats?
Between squats and bench?
Yeah.
They took a 15-minute break.
Only 15 minutes? That's
That's why I hate
crazy.
sessions.
Wow.
So there's-
I would expect it to be longer than that.
There's a couple of things that go around here because
It just really changes the game.
it changes
It
the game a lot.
really changes. So powerlifting competitions are long days.
But that also is antagonistic to a spectation perspective. When you
Agreed.
come to a meet, nobody's there until you deadlift, really. And deadlifts when it comes up really big. But if you make it shorter, if you make it like a 3-4 hour event, people come out and watch you. That's not that big of a commitment. So like there's a few things, right? Like my belief is that sessions are better. When I'm lifting, if I'm lifting for 8 hours during the day, I'm exhausted. I'm
True.
going to flatline way before I go to deadlift.
True.
If I'm lifting for 3-4 hours, I can take 20 minutes between lifts. I do SPD days in the gym. If I can do an SPD day in here in 4 hours, why couldn't I do it on the platform? You know? And I'm doing volume work with my deadlifts.
Yeah, maybe I have a cold take. Maybe sessions being bad is a cold take, is a bad take. I don't know. Like I said, jury's out. I'm not sold. I'll need to do it again or play with it some more, attend a meet or run a meet, whatever.
I think the fact that you came in reffing in your session, or not reffing, coaching in your session is huge. That's a big part of it too.
Maybe.
Because you were actively trying to do 3 jobs at once. Warm up, coach, and compete. And that's so difficult.
Okay, let's move on from sessions.
Okay.
I will mull it over some more.
Cool.
You said the word.
It's fine.
I itched for a second.
Yeah.
But maybe I need to more carefully consider my thoughts there.
There's a lot around it. It's a new thing. So like it's still coming up. It's still kind of being developed a little bit for sure too. But one of the things I thought was really cool about the meet that we did, there's usually we finish a meet, and if you're doing a normal day where it's just straight fights all day long, one day, no sessions, award ceremonies are fun for like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And then people get really annoyed
That's
because
true. They're tired.
they're tired, everybody wants to go home, everybody's exhausted, everybody's lifted or watched their family lift or their friends lift for the last many hours.
Food.
Food.
And there's also a lot of awards to be given. There's a lot of weight classes, there's a lot of categories, and a lot of people sign up for a lot of events, which is another thing. But so
I have
when-
thoughts on that too.
so do I. And so when we finish out, like we're waiting for another like hour for everybody to get delivered for their awards, and until
And
like,
then is there drug testing? Oh my gosh.
yeah, and so it drags on. So what happened at the meet here? We had day 1, A and B flight, and then day 2, flight C happened in the morning or in the like afternoonish, like late morning, I guess. And then right after they did awards too, so everybody's still kind of fresh. It's only been a couple hours of lifting.
Interesting.
And then they did awards, and it was like very engaged. Everybody was involved. There was a lot of clapping. Everybody's excited. Given there were some great lifters, right?
There was some
Phenomenal lifters.
amazing lifting on Sunday. I think that matters a lot too.
Yep. And there were some really nice speeches given by the people involved, and so everybody was very like feeling the moment there. So, but I think it aided.
But is that
process.
chicken or the egg thing, right? Like,
Well,
is one because of the other, or do they benefit each other mutually? Right?
Exactly. Yeah. So there's a lot that goes around it, but it's something that I think is really cool. I think that process of having awards act as a second session kind of was really nice. I think that was a great idea. Another shout out to Brent and Megan. Phenomenal. There's a lot of things that I think was really well done about this meet that I wouldn't have even thought of. And I loved it.
I'm bummed I missed Sunday. I was busy.
You were
happy to be doing what I was doing, but I was busy.
No, you're good. Yeah, I totally understand.
I'm just not driving back.
That's fair. So yeah, like that's what competitions kind of consist of. When you finish out, there's awards. There may be drug testing if you're drug tested. But that's kind of the process of how we do it. So it's 3 attempts per lift, like Jake said, squat, bench, deadlift, and then you're done. And then you get awarded a total, and that is the cumulative sum of the heaviest lift that was qualified for the meet.
Ah, yes.
So the heaviest lift that you successfully completed with judges' approval, more or less, right? And then that is cumulative in your total. So it's your best squat plus your best bench plus your best deadlift. And then you get your total. And that's kind of how people compare to each other within their weight class. And that's how awards are given.
Yeah, comparing is hard, man.
It's tough.
Especially, let's talk about Brent again for a second, because this is really common. People do this kind of stuff all the time. And it's dangerous.
Yep.
You need to put a gigantic asterisk next to any comparison.
Yep.
If it is not 1-to-1. What I mean by that is, surprisingly, this is kind of convenient. We are all roughly the same size right now.
Yeah.
Right?
Right, yeah.
How much you weigh?
235.
How much you weigh?
About 235.
Yeah, probably pretty close to that right now.
Yeah.
So a comparison between the three of us, pretty apt, right?
Yeah.
Like that makes a lot of sense. Somebody like Kai,
Yeah.
looking at Jackson saying, "Dang, your leg press is so strong." That doesn't make any fucking sense.
So
Don't
nobody
do that.
ever-
Like
Hey,
that's like
Not about you.
Hey.
But like
that's like a
Not
2
about
to
you.
1, right? Like
Yeah.
not a 1 to 1. It
Yeah.
really matters who you're looking at when you're doing the comparing because
yeah.
the weight class is
Being bigger
big, yeah,
makes a big difference. Being bigger, being
Thank you. Good.
older
Yes,
makes a
good
big
way to put
difference.
that.
Yeah. Everything about the way the competition is separated matters. Think of it the same way you think about fighting. And as much as it sounds kind of weird,
Nope.
combat
Absolutely.
sports and powerlifting are a 1-for-1. They're very, very similar in every single aspect. The way that they're run, the way that people compete, the way that people interact. Except for we're not trying to fight each other.
Yeah.
That's really the only difference. Coming out of wrestling and MMA, like the communities are almost
I've seen
the
a fight
exact
in a
same.
I
Have you seen a fight at a
I
meet?
think-
Yeah, it was here.
Oh,
I was just saying, I think that
That
it
was
was
crazy. Yeah.
it was the first meet that I went to. The
I
one
think it was the first meet that I was like not officially the owner, but
it was the first meet
like,
I attended before I competed.
Yeah.
The one in November where you were announced as the new owner, right?
Yeah,
I don't remember anybody fighting.
that's
that.
all right. You don't.
That's fine. Whatever.
We
Anyway.
did good then.
Hey.
Yeah.
Yeah, you competed then too, didn't you?
Nope.
No.
Mm-mm. I didn't meet
It was the
you
one
until
before,
the
I think.
April after.
Mm.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
anyway,
I forgot about that.
that's a great like also the topic of like weight and people being different.
Yes.
And it qualifying for like your comparison also factors really well into the next topic I want to talk about.
Okay.
It's like
Hit me.
weight management. Getting into a meet because like people do a lot of
Okay,
stuff
yeah.
to weigh different things.
Great transition.
Great
Did you do that on purpose?
Kind of like
Oh, you should write all of our episodes, dude. That was crazy.
I don't know.
That was really good. We were talking about weight.
Yeah.
Like and absolutely okay. General weight classes, right? It goes most of the time in the middle. Towards the ends, things get a little stretched or thin. But in the middle, where the most people are, weird how normal distributions look.
Yeah.
It's a 10 kilo jump
Mhm.
between weight classes, so about 22 pounds.
Give or take.
For you Americans out there, miles, feet, inches.
I was gonna say that is not how it works when you're small like me. It's like
Yes.
4 kilos and like 7 kilos.
Yes,
Yeah, the
on the
jumps get
very
weird.
small sides. So like, I think it's like 82.5 to 90,
Yep.
and then 90 to 100, 1 to 110, 1 to 1, blah blah blah, up
25 and then
to 125. I think is where it changes.
140.
Oh, it does. It goes
So your
15. Yeah. Anyways, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But it goes all the way down to like small people. Like
Yeah, it's like a 50 kilo, 52 kilo, I think.
Yeah, I think Chris, the kid I work with on Tuesdays
Yeah.
and Thursdays,
Mhm.
I think he is the smallest weight class.
Yeah.
And I think he's like 123 or something.
Maybe
Maybe there's one
than that,
smaller.
for sure.
Yeah.
For
So I think
boys,
52 is like-
believe 52 is the smallest for boys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tiny.
Oh, that's right. Women have 48, I think.
Yeah.
When,
I think that's the smallest class.
Yeah. So, anyways, weigh-ins
Yeah.
are a thing that we haven't talked about yet for powerlifting.
That's
And
yes, thank you.
most
topic.
strength sports and wrestling.
Combat
Not
sports.
wrestling, combat sports. Thank you,
Anywhere,
better
yeah.
word. This is one of the things that I imagine you were getting to, but I interrupted you with your segue. Weigh-ins are a thing.
Huge.
Um,
And they interact the same way with combat sports
They
and with
do,
powerlifting
yes.
very much. Like it's really, if I try to cut down weight, I can compete with people who are smaller than me and be as stronger.
and there's an advantage to that.
There's
And
an
that's why comparing against people that are similar, to you matters a ton.
Yeah. And so on this, some context for history. Right now, weight cuts aren't as much of a thing anymore because a lot of it's centered around being healthier, stronger, better as an athlete in general,
Good.
which is great because weight cutting is stupid for 99% of people that are competing. But
Agreed.
a while ago, that was a huge thing because you'd see guys like Duffin and Ben Pollock and guys that were at the top of the sport cut down 20 to 60 pounds of water and just make insane cuts. And they'd show up as 220 when they're walking around as 285s, and it was like insane. But they showed up and they'd win. And so everybody else in the sport, everybody else, even at the lowest local level, is like, I need to cut weight or I'm going to be disadvantaged. Right. And it doesn't work like that because there's a lot that goes around a weight cut. There's a lot that goes around a refeed after a weight cut. And there's a lot that needs to be done to handle your health if you're going to do something like that. And it's and I'm going to just put this as a blanket statement, it's not worth it unless you're going for an all-time world record or you have an extremely specific goal that requires you to cut weight. And that doesn't mean a state record.
Yeah.
I mean something where you have a coach and your coach is like, if we want this goal, we have to cut and it's worth it.
Yeah, it's just one of those things. Unless you are being paid.
Yes, that's another one.
To do this thing.
Yep.
It's dangerous. Don't do it. Right.
Don't do it.
Like it's as simple as why? What are you doing for a tiny benefit? I have no problem with you losing weight
safely
as a goal to compete in a class.
Mm-hmm.
That's great.
Yeah.
If you are intentionally signing up for a class that you have no intention of being that weight ever.
Yep.
Don't do that. That's dumb, right? If your plan is to drop 15 pounds in the 2 days before the competition, okay, that's dangerous. Don't do that, right? Like, can it be done? Sure. And if coached properly with proper nutrition, like by people that are professionals, it can be done. And absolutely, there is a tangible benefit to it. You're probably, if you're listening to us, a regular person with a regular job.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it too much.
And that's
crazy.
I want to kind of zoom out a touch here because when I talk about cutting weight, for anybody who hasn't done this or isn't part of the world, cutting weight, I mean a water cut. When you are actively trying to dehydrate yourself or starve yourself for the sake of getting down a weight class. If you are going through and you have either a good understanding of your macronutrients and what your diet needs to look like, or you have a coach who's able to do that, and you're going through a process of going through a slow deficit over several months and you want to cut down 10 pounds because you want to weigh in at a slightly lower class, that's fine. And because you're doing it through food and proper nutrition.
Yes.
The issue comes in when you're like, I'm going to put my body through an incredible amount of stress and force it to weigh this thing artificially. And that's a problem because it shouldn't be done that way, really. And it's overly pushed that you should go down a weight class. There's so much time that you're going to spend in powerlifting if you start competing that's really trial and error. And you need to come in and get the trial and error, and because you're going to have something go wrong. And if you cut 20 pounds of water before a meet and you have something come up that you didn't expect, you've wasted it, you know?
Dude, oh my gosh. Okay. And I know we haven't even started talking about preparing for a meet, and I'm sure that's on your list.
Mm-hmm.
But the list of things that could potentially go wrong in a prep is already very long.
Yep.
Why are you adding cutting weight to the last little? Why are you adding the most stress or an unbelievable amount of stress to already the most stressful part of this whole journey?
Yeah.
Like why?
For what purpose?
What seems like a good idea about that?
Yeah, so this is something I talk to every new lifter and even experienced lifters to a certain point. You know, the first 8-10 meets, you're going to have something go wrong. You're going to get a surprise. And that's okay because that's part of the process. You can't get a meet experience without doing a meet. And so stuff's going to come up. You're going to have, the meet times changed. I didn't check my email before. Mm-hmm. Oh, I forgot my belt. Oh, I didn't know that I needed knee sleeve. I needed deadlift socks, you know. I didn't bring a snack and I was hungry. And so I was in action. Like I was hungry and I had some stomach pain while I was deadlifting.
I wore underwear for my first squat, got yelled at to take it off, missed my second squat, this is a real story.
Yeah.
This is not made up.
I know.
I went to the bathroom, ripped off my singlet.
Yep.
But I had knee sleeves on that were very tight and squat shoes.
Yeah.
You know what I did? I literally ripped my underwear. but I didn't make it in time for my second attempt.
Yeah.
It took me too long because I didn't have scissors or anything. And so I'm just ripping them.
Right.
By the time I made it back for my third attempt,
you're gone.
My brain was not there. I bombed out of this meet.
Yeah, you're panicking.
This is my second meet ever. I bombed out of it because I wore underwear.
Yeah.
Mistakes happen. Like I'm so serious. Like,
it's so rough.
Just regular people underwear.
Like
in boxers?
Like the
yes.
white?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
I was gonna say I thought you were supposed to wear the white.
You are. Now I go commando always only.
You're allowed to go commando.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, for sure you can.
Yes. I didn't wear
Underwear is
You can't wear
optional.
boxers.
For sure. You just can't wear boxers.
Yes. I'm done. It was totally a mistake. It's just something that you don't like.
It's not a thought unless you are there. Unless you've been in the experience, right?
Yeah.
Like you have to have the experience.
I'm
And-
packing my bag the night before and I need some underwear.
Yep.
You reminded me the day of my first meet. I got there and you were like, "You're not wearing boxers, are you?" And I was like, "Ah, shit!" And
Yeah.
I immediately ran home and changed.
Yes.
Right. And it's things like that. It's little things.
Yes.
Always little things that are going to come up. And it's the sessions are new. Like people had to adjust to sessions. People
Yeah.
had to adjust sessions, and that was a weird thing. And people are coming around to them a lot now. But when they first came out, it was it's too fast. I'm not rested. Like this and this. It's like, no, you're fine.
Change back.
Yeah, and it's the change bad thing, right? So it's just different, and there's going to be a lot of those. Oh, it's different.
Yeah.
I can't eat really during the day of the meet. I can have small snacks now that I've actually spent time working on my metabolism, and that's pretty much it.
Mm.
And I have to keep hydrated because if I'm thirsty, I'm going to screw up something, you know?
Interesting.
And I have to time my pre-workout very specifically
That's
because
crazy.
if I have
eat like
your metabolism's crazy.
I
Didn't
will
you-
never and always have a cooler with me on meet days.
yeah,
Yeah,
I know. My goal is to be like north of 5,000 calories.
I mean,
Like,
yeah, that's
during competition.
That's healthy. That's what you should do, right? Like for me specifically, I don't
Oh,
respond
you're
well to
weird.
it. Yeah, I don't respond well to it because my metabolism sucks until recently.
Interesting. Yay.
And so, that's like it's cool. Thank you, I appreciate it. It was a lot of freaking work.
it's
So,
hard to work on yourself.
yeah,
You should be celebrated if you're doing good.
I appreciate it. Stuff like my caffeine intake. Logan had that. Logan's a buddy of ours who was competing on Sunday, and he had way too much
You did
caffeine
compete, yeah.
in the morning.
How did
so
Logan do?
he's not happy with it, but he did pretty well.
This is something. Okay.
I want to talk about this too.
Oh, okay. You have it on
I
here.
have it on here too.
Okay. Never mind.
We can talk about it now if you want. We can talk about it now if you
I'm
want.
jumping all over the place on this one.
I was going to bring up Bryn.
Okay.
Bryn had a very emotional reaction to one of her deadlifts, and kind of blew me off. And later apologized, and we had a whole conversation
Yeah.
about it. But one of the things that we spoke about later was, I feel that I get
Yep.
as a coach.
Mm-hmm.
I want you to care. I
Yeah.
want an emotional reaction when you fuck something up because it's gonna happen. It does, right? And I don't even know if she fucks something up. I don't know, and I don't care. It does not
Yep.
matter.
Right. No.
The point of what I'm getting at is, most of us that really love this, this competition thing,
Mm-hmm.
almost always, you did it earlier too. You're gonna walk away from something and always want more.
Absolutely.
That's what I love about it.
It's a constant. This is a beautiful sport because there's always more to take. There's always more to take. You can always go higher.
Yep.
We had the first 1,000-pound deadlift not that long ago.
Yeah.
In powerlifting competition, that's been less than 5 years. And I'm not talking about Daddy Hall's 500 kilo either.
No,
I'm
like
talking about-
in powerlifting competition,
Raw.
red light, white light.
Yep, raw powerlifting with a grip on the bar with your hands, with a singlet, no support, by yourself. You did the weight. That was the first time,
Yeah.
and it was thought impossible. The first 900-pound deadlift, actually done in Oregon, was insane. People didn't believe it was possible to pull 900 pounds off the ground, and then somebody did it. And so the limits are always being pushed. There's a guy who right now, who I don't remember the name of, is pushing on numbers that are done by Dan Bell, the strongest human in powerlifting right now, at 242 pounds. He weighs 242 pounds body weight. Dan Bell's a super heavyweight, which means he weighs over 308 pounds. And this man is at minimum 60 pounds lighter and pushing into numbers that are comparable. That's crazy. There's always more to take, and it is the most pure sport of I want more. And I want to see what I can do. And if you're willing to stick with it long enough, there's always more that you can do.
I think I really just love that attitude.
Yeah.
It is important to, as I just spoke on with your metabolism thing, to celebrate yourself.
Yeah.
And have people around you that do celebrate you and you are doing well at whatever it is you care about, right? We really care about this pick up heavy thing.
Yeah.
Make sure scale, say right number. Right?
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
But whatever you care about, like, it's really cool when people are passionate about whatever it is that they're doing.
Yeah.
And I think this is one that is, like you said, it's kind of a limitless, what can I do?
Yeah. And it's independent. Everybody's going to have a different point. Everybody's going to have a different perspective on what is possible for me. there's a lot of the new kids, I guess not new kids anymore, this is kind of pulled back a little bit. This is a little bit older, but there was a lot of push on like the natural potential of a human being. They were like, oh, well, when I hit a natural potential, I need drugs. And everybody thought they were there for a long time. There's a big thing around this.
Really interesting, yeah.
It's crazy because this is before drug-tested powerlifting got as competitive as it is right now. And it is crazy right now. There's some phenomenal people competing.
Yeah.
I watched the USAPL national meet, and I was shocked at how strong some of these kids came out. It was incredible.
Yeah.
And so there's a huge bucket for drug-tested powerlifting right now that is incredibly competitive. And kids who are thinking, oh, I hit my natural limit at 19 years old and started a cycle have now committed a life sentence to be on gear for the rest of their existence when they just needed to change their program a little bit, because they didn't think they were competitive anymore. And it's a matter of I didn't exhaust my options. I thought I was done more than I was done,
Yeah. Do we want to talk about drugs?
We can talk about. I think it's a better different episode thing. It's a huge.
I think that could be an
also-
entire episode on it.
Yeah, I feel like you teed me up there for drugs a little bit.
I did, but
That's okay. It's fine. I was like, do we want to?
Well, if you're talking about potential, if you're talking about the competitive aspect of this and the limitless nature of what we can do in this sport, like the passion that goes around, I want to see what's possible for me.
When an athlete is, or a competitor, I'll use that word because it doesn't have to be
athletic.
Yeah, to be competitive. It could be my brain against yours. When you care that you lost, or maybe it's that you could have done better.
Yep.
That, and you express that to me is the kind of person I want to coach.
Me too.
The kind of person I want to compete with.
Yeah, I'm so glad you said that.
Logan said that he was not satisfied.
No, yeah, he had, so his prep was weird too, and there's a whole bunch of things that can go into this, but he's not coached by me, he's coached by somebody else, so I'm not going to get into it.
Yep.
He got like 2 of his squats, I think he got 2 of his benches, and I think he got 2 of his deadlifts. So he didn't end up hitting any of the numbers he wanted to at the top end, right?
Okay.
Realistically, he still hit meet PRs. He still did meet PRs. Okay. So from my perspective, he did great.
This is also like his third competition.
It's his third competition ever, and like I think 8 is a good number where you're like locked in.
Yeah.
I think your position is different because you coach through a lot of them. And if you coach actively at competitions, that number is different. But if you're competing by yourself or with a remote coach, you're going to have about 8 meets that are going to go sideways in some way or another before you really figure out this is what
you walk away from one like, oh, I did good.
Right. Yes. And you might have meets go well, but you don't really know why. Yeah. Until that point. And so you have a good idea. This is what I need. This is how I'm going to do this. This is how I'm going to handle myself throughout the day.
That's a big number.
I think it is, yeah, but I think it's necessary because, like we're talking about, there's so many variables.
How many meets do you think I'm going to put you on the spot here.
Mm-hmm.
You are playing Sims, but for a powerlifter, okay? And you coach them from a third point of view, fourth dimension point of view.
Sure.
How many meets do you want them to do a year?
2.
So we're looking at 4 years of coached power. I think that number is going to surprise people.
Yeah, I think it will too.
That's a long time.
That's
a really long time.
There's 2 aspects to this, right? Number 1, coached makes a difference. For sure.
It does.
Because your coach should be able to figure those things out much faster.
That's true.
And give you reference. Oh, you took your pre-workout at 15 minutes before your squat. Yes, you came in a little bit lagged.
Yeah.
Of course, like there's going to be differences to this person to person, depending how good your coach is, who your coach is, and how you're handled through the meet, and whether or not they're in person with you, because that does make a difference.
It does.
But yes, this is a long-term sport. You're gonna. I believe
all
the newbie
sports are.
Yeah, the newbie games period. People are like, oh, it's like 6 months. It's like 3 years.
I'm so serious. It's so long.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I like the phrase. What'd you use? Natural potential.
Natural potential.
Yeah. I think there are several stages of that people run into.
Yeah.
That all really can probably be classified as newbie games.
Absolutely. Oh my God. Because here's the thing, right? Every time I have a client finish a meet or a prep or a block, where we're done through a full cycle of what we're training for.
Yeah.
We do a form block, and every single time there's improvements to make. And once those improvements lock in, there's a boost in their power.
Yep.
And that is kind of newbie games. You're new to a movement pattern. You're new to a system of technique.
Yeah.
And you're kind of just pulling that forward. And so I space it out. I'm not going to give a client all their cues on day one.
You can't.
You're going to get 2, maybe 3 if you can handle it, maybe 3.
Yeah.
And then we're going to work on that for months. We're going to work on that for 6, 8 months, a year, 100%.
Yeah.
We're probably competing with one set of cues for a while.
Yeah.
And when you really get it down, cool, let's take the next step. And let's take the next step. And this is years and years and years and years and years of process. But it takes that to get them really to be solid.
It totally does.
And then you walk into competition with these new aspects of things. And that's why you see people who are successful come into one meet with a 1,400 pound total. And the next meet is a 1,600 pound total.
Yeah.
And the next meet is a 1,700 pound total,
And they didn't do bad at the 1,400 pound total.
No.
They still did fine.
They're learning.
They're learning.
I
think this should have been mentioned earlier. Jameson is my coach. So hearing what he's saying from this standpoint is weird. Because I've heard you say it to me, but I've never heard you say it in a third person context.
Yeah.
So this, I know I'm not saying much right now. Sitting here and listening to you say this is going to help me understand why we do certain things.
Yeah.
Especially because it was hitting me as you're saying, you get one set of cues.
Yeah.
We've been, like I said, I started sumo deadlifting 2 weeks ago.
Oh, yeah,
very recently.
And
days ago.
I'm 5 weeks and a couple of days out from a competition right now. So going into this, we've only got 2 or 3 cues.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going into a competition with that.
Yep.
And I'm very slowly getting more cues as it goes on.
Oh, yeah.
And I want to give reference this because I also would never put somebody in that position unless it was Jackson's exact position also for reference, because since we're talking about competitions, that's way too close to be making competition changes. You don't change technique within 8 weeks. That's too much. But if somebody is clearly has a natural affinity for something that will instantly improve them, there is range to allow it. And what happened was we had started, he said, I want to think about sumo. And I'm like, we can do 1 sumo deadlift. And if it feels and looks good, we can push a little bit today and find out what happens. And it ended up being instantly stronger than his conventional. And technically cleaner.
Okay, yes. Your 8-week mark for not allowed to make technique changes, love that. Okay. Yeah. I think like you said, there are reasons to.
Yes.
And I think one of those is
Jackson.
newbie gains.
Yeah.
Right? You are so right. But if a person is, how many times have you competed?
1 time.
One time.
I'm at 1 going into 2.
And you had no coach.
No. Yeah. I went into my first meet totally uncoached. I had a coach for probably 8 months beforehand, but I was no longer being coached for about 3 or 4 months going into that meet.
Yeah.
So I went in pretty much uncoached.
Yeah. I think at that stage in somebody's, I don't like the word career, but development.
Oh,
that's better.
That's good.
I think making such a drastic change can have such a positive benefit that it's just, it is structurally better to make that change now. And because like we talked about earlier with the floor ceiling thing, you're taking like Bryn, right? Where she wasn't scared of the weight because she didn't know how to do it wrong.
Yeah.
And so her ceiling with not being scared of the weight and just doing it was way lower.
Yep.
The floor might have been a little bit higher, but once we introduced these cues and made some slight changes, right, you were able to take her ceiling and bump it way up. And the floor is probably about the same,
marginally lower,
but she might exactly right.
Yeah.
So there's a give and a take there. Whereas with Jackson, the ceiling of if it is as successful as I've heard that it is, I've heard about it a lot.
I believe it.
Then the ceiling is way higher, and if we're in a situation where the floor is also higher, okay, then it's a no-brainer, right?
Yes.
Then yes, let's do that 8 weeks out. Totally.
Just to put it out there, I've always been like, I'm not going to say powerlifting career. I've been in the gym for a while. I started lifting specifically for football, and one of the conditions for me going to this gym from Jake, because I am 17, I am a minor. Yeah. One of the conditions for me actually being able to work out here was I have to compete one time.
It was. I forgot about that.
And so I went into that first meet, going back to one of the previous subjects. I went into that first meet. I just want to get it done with.
Yeah.
I want to be done. And then I can just come work out.
Yeah.
And I stepped out that platform and I'm like, this is what I want to do. Because it's one of those things where it's like, it just grabs you. Because I've been playing sports my entire life. And it's a totally different feeling. I've been playing team sports my entire life. I've done a little bit of boxing, a little bit of wrestling.
Yeah.
But other than that, it's all been team sports.
Yeah, I
And
played
it
a lot
is
of
a
basketball, a lot of football.
Totally different.
This
feeling.
was my first solo sport for sure.
Yeah.
And it's
It's one of those things where it's like, you can do better, and now you have to go back and do better.
I love this concept because this is on competition, on what we're talking about in general, because this is what I fell in love with wrestling for.
Okay.
And because this is that was my first love. Like I dedicated all of my existence to wrestling for such a long time because I'm going to step onto a platform or onto a mat, right? And I'm going to give every ounce of my being into being better than somebody else. We're going to actively fight each other for our dream, everything that we want. Yeah, the whole point of our existence is going to be put on the line right now. And if I did more work, it's what it is. Like
I get it.
It's dramatic.
But it's the experience of it. It's like genuinely that person to beat somebody, they have to give up. They have to concede their goals to me for me to win. And so you're going to go out there and fight for your life. And if you did enough work, if you pushed yourself hard enough, if you are smart enough and good enough and you spent the time, you did what coach said, you should win if you want it bad enough. And it's a immediate reflection on what do I exist for in this space.
Love this conversation.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think wrestling versus powerlifting, there's two different things you're pushing against. Specifically with powerlifting, it's not so much competing against other people. Yes, you are going to compete against other people. You are competing, you placed, was it third or fourth in that meet?
Overall, yeah.
So you are competing against other people. But at the same time, you're competing against yourself. You have weights you've lifted before, and that's the majority of what you're pushing against.
Yes. I would put the caveat, so the competition aspect is more of like, even in wrestling, it's you versus you. Because if I went out and I went home after practice and I just went to bed, I'm going to get beaten to hell. Yeah. If I go back and I'm like, I'm going to go run 5 miles, I'm going to go to the gym, I'm going to go do drills, I'm going to make sure I eat right. And you go in now, you're going to come into the massive edge, right? Yes.
I only ever played team sports until powerlifting. I said that earlier.
Pretty much same for me.
Yep. I am realizing that a big part of my issue with competition when I was younger, it was myself. Shocker, right? Sure. You are the component in all of your failures, right? We all know that. That's a very common thing to think about, to whatever. I really struggled with that. I was a part of a lot of not good teams.
Yeah.
Okay.
A
lot.
Seriously relate.
Yeah, right. But absolutely. And so because team sports are so not individualized, it is so easy to, and probably encouraged, and this might be where the trophy generation comes from, but we lost, guys. Bummer. We'll do better next time.
Yep.
There is no, I wasn't good enough.
Yeah. That's exactly, what I'm
right?
talking
Or
about.
I could have done better. Right? That being absent from team sports, and maybe that was a me thing.
No, I don't think so.
I definitely see where you're coming from with that. I feel it, but it's harder for me to understand that aspect of team sports. Because, specifically, I played basketball for nearly 8 years. Okay. I had an amazing coach. I mean, he's still one of the greatest mentors in my life, and he's always going to be.
Sure.
It was our first couple years. We were really young. I mean, I'm 17. I played for 8 years. So I started when I was like 6 or 7. I played with the same team up until the point of like sophomore year. We played for a really long time together. It went from the point where we lost every game in a season for 3 seasons straight. We lost every single game, and it was bad. We were terrible to the point where our last 3 seasons were completely undefeated. And it was one of those things where it was because the coach got to know every singular person on the team as a singular person.
I'm talking more about self-reflection.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree.
Which is,
go ahead.
That's what I was saying is when you have a coach, even with team sports, that will take the time to talk to you as a person, not as a total team, that makes team sports better.
Okay.
And it makes your team better in general.
Yeah.
But the idea of team sports, and I think what Jake's getting at, is the idea of team sports is we have to all be good enough to work with each other. Whereas when you're by yourself, there is no linebacker does this job, quarterback does this job, other guy that does that job. I don't know football. Don't talk to me.
I've tried to teach you a little.
I don't care.
Said anything.
It was so good. It was so good. You said linebacker. You said quarterback.
I didn't have a third one.
And then you went for a third one, and I was like,
You said the other guy that
And then you
Defense.
almost saved it because you're like the runner.
Running back.
I was like, you know what? That's close enough. And then
Running
you
back.
kept going again. And I
Yeah.
was like, oh.
Anyway, okay, right. So everybody has a different job, and everybody has to be good at that job. If you play 1v1 football, there's no back door. You can't
Am
go to
I
somebody
good enough?
else.
Did I do all the work? Did
Yes.
I blah blah
Yes.
blah? Did I? It
There
is
is-
individual.
There's nobody to lean on. There's nobody for support.
Yeah.
You have to show up at 100%, or
Mhm.
you lose. And even if it's competing against yourself, it's still the same thing. If you win a platform, because you're competing against the weight. If you say I can do a 315 bench, but you slacked a little bit in your prep, you're not getting it. You're not going to do it, right?
Yeah.
So it's still, I have to show up at 100%. My nutrition has to be good. My rest has to be good. My training has to be good. I have to have my movement well dialed in.
Gravity don't care, man.
Yeah, you have to show up. You have to be there 100%, and it's you
Crazy.
or not. It's either going to happen or it doesn't.
Yeah.
So it's that difference, right?
That's fair.
I haven't felt, and I felt this to a lesser degree in team sports,
Mhm.
Basketball, football mostly. That's really all I played at any competitive level. I wasn't very competitive. The butterflies I get in my stomach before a powerlifting competition
Yeah.
are so different. That feeling I've only ever felt a similar feeling in teams in competition, right? It is a competition based feeling for me, for sure. Similar feeling that I might get on the range in the Marine Corps shooting.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Like nervous, like I'm performing, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm being scored.
Right.
Kind of only I am accountable for what's happening.
Yeah.
Powerlifting has really I've found a way in my adult life to get that back.
Mhm.
I really like that feeling.
Yeah.
It's nerves, but it's anxious nerves, and I'm excited, but I'm like, did I do enough? It's that
Yeah.
is something that I've only found really in powerlifting as an adult.
Yeah. It's hard.
We tried to play basketball.
We did. That's how I tore my Achilles.
You
Yeah.
tore your Achilles in the first 5 minutes of the first game.
It was like 5 minutes from half. So
Was
I
it? I
played
thought it was
like
really early.
3/4 of one half.
I was sitting on the bench, and
Yeah.
I just watched you fall down, and then you walked up to me, you're like, who stepped on my ankle?
Yeah.
Nobody was anywhere close to you.
I know.
Yeah.
It was really bad.
That was funny.
Yeah.
Well, not in the context that you
It
did.
was. It was fun.
It was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't even get to play it. I bought all those jerseys.
We paid for the jerseys.
I paid for the jerseys.
I paid for mine.
You paid for yours. Yeah. Thank
Yeah. I don't know anything about basketball either.
you. Don't.
I don't.
I mean,
Don't play it too.
I definitely get where you guys are coming
From
from,
Madness.
and
I'm mad in March.
Did you make a bracket?
I didn't make a bracket.
No, I didn't either.
I did that for them, but
If you made a bracket, we could have talked about it, but I.
I understand where you guys are coming from with singular sports, and I'm
Sure.
not well versed enough in
You've only done one?
singular sports.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Although I've
absolutely.
I've done one amateur fight, and it was not a sanctioned fight, but
Sure.
that's still a singular sport. But
Yeah.
with, that's what I'll take football for an example. I played outside linebacker. It's one of those things where it's like, yes, you have
Me too. Don't worry. I got you.
yes, other people are doing jobs,
Yeah.
and they are helping you do your job, but
Yeah.
you still have a job.
Oh, well,
You have one job.
I would argue outside linebackers have a very important job.
Your job is
especially
to
contain.
stop the tight end and contain the outside
Contain.
run. That is
Um,
all your job
very
is.
commonly
They're really
in
confused.
low level. Yeah, in low level. Okay.
We'll move on from this quickly.
No,
but it's one
I
of those
can
things
explain
where
it to him.
it's,
Okay. When the athletic disparity on the field is massive, meaning the best player is much, much better
Okay.
than the average, the best strategy is to let that shine. The best way to do that is usually speed-based. So the best way to do that is to get your fast guy outside of all the big guys. They're going to bring him down. So you run to the outside a lot.
Okay.
You run away from people. You use
So the-
speed. Okay.
Yes.
So the outside linebacker's job is to contain.
so as an outside,
Okay. All right. So this makes yes.
So as an
You
outside line,
stop them from being good.
Yes.
Okay.
Right. It's a really important job, especially in low-level football.
Yeah.
Because speed is a really good strategy
So-
in low-level football.
Yeah,
Specifically for playing that outside linebacker role. Yes, you have your defensive line. They're filling gaps, doing what they
Too
do.
much,
Not going to go too far into it. I have two things to do as an outside linebacker. It is to contain the outside run, like Jake just said, and then
Yeah.
fill a gap if they come through.
Yes.
That is my only two jobs.
It is so blatantly obvious when they don't do their job.
Exactly.
Because little
They're
tiny guy comes running around the
on the
backfield
outside.
full speed.
Yeah.
And if I don't stop that guy, there's one dude behind me and nobody else.
Yes.
And he scores.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
So it's
And
still
he has another job.
job
So,
to cover the runners.
The point
on the
is,
outside. So
it's very obvious if he does not do his job.
there's still that feeling in team
there
sports
is some individual
where it's if you don't do that job you're assigned, it's very obvious, and you still have that self-reflection. And
Yeah.
once you get to those, like, I never played varsity, I played JV. I started on JV. I only played my freshman year,
Oh, okay. Well,
but I played for a couple years before.
Anyways,
But it's one of those things where it's like you still have the individuality.
I get that.
So we're going to move on after this, but I think that like the only difference I would say is that even if that guy doesn't do his job, there's a whole set of other people that can. And you can still win if that guy's really bad, right? Whereas in a single sport, you get 0 grace period. There is
Yes,
nobody
that's
else to
fair.
fall back on.
That's fair.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm just saying there is still a little bit. You
Sure,
still
no,
have that
That's why I said
individuality.
earlier that the same feeling is still there,
Yeah,
just to a tempered degree
Yeah.
of like.
because when you step on a
Do the
basketball
thing.
court or a football field, you're still stepping out there to do a job.
Yeah,
You're
you're performing.
You're there
Yeah.
to do your job.
Yeah.
And if you don't perform, typically your team doesn't perform well.
So let's talk about, and this is kind of a also sort of moderate transition, I guess.
Nice. Lay it on.
Number 2.
When we get into competitions,
Okay.
we're preparing for that. We want to talk about what that looks like because there's a lot that goes into this.
Prep.
And like I said earlier,
In the middle of it.
prep, and yeah, exactly. So like, there's a lot of physical and mental pieces that go into this because, like I said earlier, people spend 6 months, usually at minimum, training for a competition in the sport.
Let's
Right.
talk about it. You're playing Sims again.
Yeah.
Powerlifting Sims.
Okay.
You said 2 meets a year.
Yep.
That puts you kind of right on 6 months prep.
Yep.
Is that what you would suggest if somebody is looking to compete? Okay, this was a loaded question.
Sure, I'm ready.
There's so many variables.
I'm ready for it. I know.
You're going to suggest that they look for a meet about 6 months out.
There are 2 answers I'm going to give you.
Okay.
Answer number 1, if you are an active competitor, if you've done it before, you've been through the process, yes. Because it matters. Right? You're actively going to prep.
Sure.
If you've never done a meet before, if you're coming in dry, you're from a commercial gym and you've never even thought of powerlifting as an option, but you're like, it might be kind of cool, it might be fun, do it tomorrow.
Interesting.
Do
That
it
was
the
your-
same day. If there's a meet happening, show up and see if you can just register last minute as a guest lifter.
Okay.
Do
That
the
was your
very
suggestion to me.
first competition you can get access to. Yeah.
That
And
was-
usually it's to everybody. I gave that advice today.
Yeah.
You know?
That was the
Really?
advice you
Yeah.
gave me was whether you want to do powerlifting or not, do it now and see if you like it.
Yep.
And
I said that?
you said that to me, especially when I first started coming to this gym and your requirement for me to work out was to do a competition. Was
Yeah.
do it now,
Wow.
because then if you like it, you have that experience
Yeah.
and you know what you're doing.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
to
The
a
thing-
certain degree.
Yeah.
So the advice I gave today, some kid was like, hey, I want to powerlift. He's like, I might do one like October. I'm like, do the one in May because you're hosting one in May in a couple of weeks,
Yeah.
right? You're the one. That's the one you're going to be doing.
Yeah.
And I was like, do the one in May. And he's like, well, I'm not ready. I'm like, what are you talking about? What is ready?
You've
I'm like,
never done one before.
I'm like, can you pause a bench? And he's like, well, yeah. I'm like, can you do a squat? He's like, yeah. And I'm like, can you pick up a deadlift? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, then you're ready. Show up and do one. Nobody cares about your first meet.
True.
You know,
I
nobody-
could not agree more.
Nobody cares about your first meet.
Yeah,
you're not
no,
going to care about your first meet. You know, it's going to be a memory that you have as this is a cool thing that happened to me once, and you're going to win maybe you don't, and you're going to go to another one.
If you are a prolific powerlifter, I mean, like, people are going to remember your name 15, 20 years from now. You are
Yeah.
the guy. You're the name.
Mhm.
Nobody is ever going to talk about what you did in your first meet.
No, and honestly, if you get anywhere, if you go to a national meet and you place top 3, nobody cares what your first meet was.
No.
It's never going to matter.
Yeah, I'm talking about the biggest scenario, right? I'm
Right,
talking
yeah.
about, like, Ronnie Coleman, right? Back
Yeah.
in his day. Like, no, nobody knows because nobody cares.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
The names
Start now.
The names that come up when you talk about powerlifting: Ed Cohen, John Hack, Stan Efferding, Dan Green, Dan Bell.
I get to sit go. I love her. She's number 1 in the entire world, men and women.
Oh, I know you're talking about. Yeah. She's a freaking
What's her name?
incredible lifter.
I'll get to Sitco. She's my age, 150 pounds, 5'2", fucking monster. She benches 350 fucking pounds.
Oh, she's new.
benches more
She's
than I
new.
do.
She's been on the mainstream recently. She's an IPF lifter, I think, and she's
No, she's not that new. I've been
she-
following her forever. She just got big recently.
That's what
She
I'm
blew up
saying.
Recently.
That's what I'm saying. She's been on the mainstream
So
recently.
no,
She showed
the
up.
point is nobody knows what these people's first meet totals were.
Exactly.
It doesn't
So
matter.
you're going out to get experience because one or two things are going to happen. You're going to love it and say, "Wow, I really want to see what I can do next time," or you're going to go to redeem yourself, or you're going to hate it and you never do it again. There's no harm in that. And doing one as soon as possible
So
means you
fun.
get that out of the way. It's a freaking great time.
It's so fun.
It's so unlikely you're going to have a bad time. But worst case scenario, you hate it. You're like, that was awful. I would never want to do it again. You put no stakes into this. Your prep was 2 weeks. Cool. You move on. You know?
right.
Yeah. No, there's no pressure here.
I don't think. Where's the downside?
There's none.
I'm really
None.
trying to find something.
It's just an experience.
You're just seeing
It's
what
the same
happens.
thing as everything, and most people, especially with powerlifting, are going to fall in love with it.
Yeah.
It is just
When are you having a bad time? You should, like you said, you're going to show up, and maybe it's not for you, and that's okay. But that doesn't mean you had a bad time.
No.
even
But if you show up and you do bad, like you just said, you're going to want to redeem yourself.
Exactly.
so you're gonna come back anyways,
Yeah.
and you're gonna do better than you did the first
Yeah.
time,
Mhm.
and now you're gonna be like, I got better. I want to get better again.
Well, can I do better again? Right. That's
Yep.
and that's
And that's where I'm at
that's
right
the
now.
That's the competitive. That's
Yep.
the kind of athlete.
Jackson's actually a great example for this too, because Jackson went through coach. He said, "I don't like this so much. I'm going to do it myself." Went to a competition, loved it, and then he got another coach, and he's like, "How can I do better next time?"
Yeah.
And we're doing it. We're actively doing it right now. He's going to
Yeah.
come into the next meet better than he was last time, and that's
Significantly better.
two
than
of
last time.
however many we want. You know, so it's that first meet means nothing because we're going to go into the second meet with a way better toolbox ready for us to go and show off what we can actually do.
Do you have a convenient time for me to talk about the journey? I guess prep kind of is the journey.
I guess, actually, we went into one of my subjects earlier already, so we can
Okay.
talk, because this is part of, like, when are you ready to show up? And it is now. So, like, yes,
Yeah.
the journey is a big part of that. I mean, like, 'cause we all have, like, a different story of how we got here, so
Yeah.
go ahead, talk about it.
Wow. Oh, okay.
Unless
Well,
you're not
it's
ready, I can pull up here
I
first.
am ready.
Do it.
I really think
Were you ready?
it makes the most sense. I'm pondering how I
Maneuvering
wanna-
words.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
I'm
gotcha.
fighting my own tongue here.
You got it. You can do it. You're doing great.
Prep is
Getting there.
Yeah.
I love coming to the gym for a lot of reasons. One, I just like to take care of my body.
Yep.
It feels good when I don't work out. I don't feel very good.
No.
Like I messaged somebody. I have a group chat. I use Snapchat for like 2 things. I have 3 things. I message my coach on there
Okay.
because it's a convenient platform to send videos.
True.
Fair.
I message my girlfriend on there.
Yeah.
It's a convenient platform to send.
Different content here.
Hold on.
Outside of powerlifting.
And the third party that I message is a group of homies that live down in Arizona. One of which is the dude that got me into lifting.
Yep.
The way that I lift now. I also grew up playing sports from forever. So I've been in around gyms, weightlifting rooms forever. He was my roommate on deployment. Super awesome dude. His name's Quinn. Love him to death. Went down for his wedding a couple of years ago. He's amazing.
Yeah.
Him and some of his friends down in Arizona. We have a Snapchat group called Lifters Anonymous. And it's amazing. I love those dudes, and we just Snapchat about gains and working out and the love of the game, right? Because that's where I got my start. Was like I wasn't here to powerlift. I was never a strong dude. When I started lifting, I was like $170, tiny. I'm 6'1".
Yeah.
Right now, we said earlier, I'm like 230, probably about 5 pounds less than you guys. Who cares? Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
That being said, like I put on a lot of weight. I've gotten a lot bigger. I put on a lot of muscle because I just really love this. I like the idea of getting better.
I want to carry on this for a second because I know you have more to say, but I want to carry on this because the coolest thing about what we do is that you kind of get to be a transformer in a way, and you get to decide what that looks like.
Yes.
You get to make every single decision on how that works, because you can start
That's what's really
anywhere and learning how to move your body, learning how to eat the right food, learning about nutrition and training. You can be a 280-pound bodybuilder if you want.
Yeah.
You can be a 220 powerlifter pulling 850 if you want. There's nothing that's outside the realm of possibility. You just have to decide to do it and make it happen.
I think it's so crazy. And maybe this isn't common knowledge, and this is like a fitness industry only thing. You are not limited in your size by your genetics. They make a huge difference, for sure.
Sure.
But I promise you, you put enough calories in the body, it will get bigger. Or you take enough calories away from it, it
calories
will get
in,
smaller.
calories out.
If you eat 3 cheesecakes, you gain weight. That's my default. If somebody asks me like, "Hey, I want to get big. How do I do it?" Eat 3 cheesecakes a day. You're gonna do it.
But actually, right? Like
You will.
people that tell me they cannot put on weight, because I think this is an easier thing to talk about.
Yeah.
I don't want to get too much into losing weight and cutting weight, and there's a whole conversation to be had there, and nutrition and macronutrients, blah blah blah.
It's a
calorie deficit. Yes, right. Let's talk about people, because this is where I came from, so I have a little bit more to speak on the subject. I promise you, if you put enough food in your body, you will gain weight.
Yep.
If you're telling me I'm eating 4,000 calories a day and I'm not,
Eat 5.
eat 5.
That's
Go to the doctor.
Yeah.
And make sure you're actually tracking it. That's my big one. Is don't say, "Oh, I'm eating so much." No, tell me.
Show me. Prove it.
90% of the people that are saying they're eating 4,000 calories a day and not gaining weight are not eating 4,000 calories a day.
Yeah, it's just not real.
It's the same thing with cutting weight. People are saying they're eating 900 calories a day, are quadrupling what they think they are.
There are some. Okay, so before
There's
we get
exceptions to this.
clipped here, there are exceptions. Yes, there are endocrine systems that don't allow for these things. There are situations. Yes,
But there are going to be exceptions with everything. But this is
you are a transformer.
generalized.
Yes. Also,
Basically.
either way, you can do both if you take away or put enough in.
Yeah.
Even if you have those external limitations, right? Like if you have a
It's
thyroid
so
issue,
Cool.
still can.
Yes.
It just makes it harder, and you probably
Yes.
need some help.
You
You know,
do.
that's it.
Right? And you know what's crazy? Taking care of your body by lifting heavy weights and pushing yourself is actually going to help the problem.
Yeah, by a lot.
Whoa!
Almost always. It's at least help, probably fix.
There are the list of people that I will tell not to lift weights is like so teeny tiny.
It's like
almost none. Honestly.
It's almost none. Like if you really want to come up with some, hey Jake, what about this person? What if blah blah blah?
You can
yes,
find something.
You will find some way to make me sound dumb when I say everybody should lift weights.
I really don't think so, because you can do something.
Yes.
You can do, if it's pull-ups.
Yeah.
I don't care what kind of issues you have. You can try to do a pull-up. You can do a banded pull-up. You know.
Yeah.
You can do assisted pull-ups. You can do a push-up. You can do a sit-up. You know. You can load those movements. You can do something. There's
One
always
of
a
my
movement.
favorite things. I've been to quite a few therapists. This is going to take a turn. Stick with me for a second.
Do it. Get after it.
But it's going to make sense in a second.
Yeah.
One of my favorite therapists, I've had a lot. Some are much better than others.
Yeah.
That's a whole different topic of discussion.
Oh, yeah.
The first one I had through the VA was fantastic. We were really good friends. And she helped me a lot. I was not doing super amazing after I got out of the Marine Corps. I was a little depressed, had a lot of anxiety, and she really helped me a lot.
Sure.
And one of the conversations that we had after I made a lot of progress, we were chatting and I was identifying some things going on in some people in my life. And she goes, "Okay, well, let's talk about it." And I said, "Well, how can I help? What can I do?" Right. And she goes, "Okay, if your room is destroyed and you're so upset about it, but you just can't find the energy to get up and clean it, right? You're as a therapist, as a friend, you're not going to say, clean your fucking room, dude.
Right.
You're not.
Right. No.
You're not going to tell the person with a bad shoulder or like shoulder pain when they reach overhead to go grab 50s and do some fucking Arnold press, bro.
Yeah.
No, that's
No.
just not what you do. You say, hey, let's do this. Let's open up your sock drawer and let's organize it.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's it. That's where you're going to start, because momentum is a really powerful thing. It takes you so far.
Yeah.
And so with working out, right?
Yeah.
What can I do?
Yeah.
What's his name? I think his name is Dylan Logan. Tore his bicep, got surgery, messaged me a week later and said, "Hey, can I come squat?"
Yeah.
Like still in a cast.
Yeah.
I can see stitches still in there. He's in here with an SSB squatting.
Yep.
It's like, what can I do?
Right. That's the right
Everybody
attitude.
should be lifting.
It's the right attitude.
Lifting, whatever that means. Right?
To some degree, and I think I love this because I had the same experience with nutrition, which I struggled with a lot. Talking about my roots, like I started lifting because I was dying at like 11 years old. I had the closest possible like blood like test records that were within range of being a type 2 diabetic. I was almost there at 11. And he was like, the doctor came back, he's like, hey, you're not going to live to 18 if you continue on this path. He's like, you're going to die.
Yeah.
And he's like, you need to fix it now. And at 11, growing up with severely obese parents that had no idea how to eat themselves.
Yeah. It's a skill. It's a learn. Absolutely. There's a huge knowledge.
And honestly, for me, it was, I'm going to stop eating so much. I didn't even know what it was looking like. I'm sure I'm not going to eat so much because that's what my parents said. You need to eat less food. I'm like, okay, I guess. I don't know what that looks like, but whatever. And we went to the gym. And that was what I started at. And I met a whole bunch of people who are incredibly qualified bodybuilders and powerlifters, and they were acting as my coaches for a long time, and they made the difference for me, right?
Yeah.
And I fell in love with it because I had these examples of people who were at the highest possible level of sport.
That's so crazy to be.
It was huge. It is the range. It is the
Yeah.
whole range of I cannot get in a pool without drowning, and this guy looks like a god, you know?
Yeah. People sculpt rocks to look like this guy.
He looks better, you know, like so it's like, and that is like, I looked at them, we're in the same space, we're doing the same stuff. I could be that if I want to be. And that was what gave me permission to make the progress.
Ooh, I love that. That's a cool way to put that.
And it started me down this line of like, if I work hard enough, if I do the right things, if I train and eat right, I can do what I can transform and become what I want.
Roll out.
I can roll out.
That was good.
Yeah, thank you. I try. But it was, and it's this process of like, and with that being said, right, like my eating habits were still awful most of my life, like not good, just less. And it was just to eat less, eat more. That was it. And I got like a nutrition coach for my life for this prep that we did. And she was like, cool, hit this calorie range. Hey, and we did that for a few weeks. Hey, do this many steps. Okay, cool. We're going to do this. Hey, let's time your meals a little bit differently. I'm like, cool. She's like, hey, let's eat more complicated carbs. And every few weeks, we make another change. And it's a slow progress. Where I was thinking in the first, there's no way I can make these huge changes. This is a lifestyle change. I don't have time to plan this. Where am I going to do this?
Yeah.
And we just did one thing. Like, eat more fiber. I'm like, okay.
Crazy.
Yeah. I can eat more fiber. That's one thing. I can do that right now.
But I like breaking it down into, and this is the same way that we teach. We just talked about this with giving cues intermittently.
Yeah.
You have to earn another one, right?
Yeah.
You almost like MMO role-playing game style. You have to level up and
to beat the boss.
You have to unlock the ability to
take the next step.
Learn to make this cue useful.
Yes.
Right? If I give you this cue on your deadlift, it's actually going to throw you off because right now I need you to do this better, right? Whatever, and blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
Doesn't matter. But if I tell you to do that, I know it's going to make this worse, so I can't yet.
Yep.
And so you need to get better, you need to get strong enough, you need to get whatever.
Yeah, QA is, you're not ready for QA yet. We're going to give you QB.
Yeah.
Because QB is going to help you make the transition.
QA is like quality assurance, and I was like, okay. And then you said QB, and my brain exploded.
Hold on.
It's like,
Hold on.
We went so far. Look at the
Where did
rap
we go
we
to
came
football?
back to. I don't even know
what
what
were we
that
supposed
is.
to be talking about?
Yeah, little side tangent talking about gyms. Everyone's scared to go to a gym like this.
I love that idea.
There are
Let's talk about
professionals
that.
here. There are people who have been doing this for years. Because I came from LA Fitness.
Yeah.
I went to LA Fitness first, and then this is my second gym. I have never felt better stepping into a gym than I have here.
I love that.
Because everyone here has gone through the exact same thing I have.
Mm-hmm.
And they know what I'm going through. Obviously, there's going to be variances there. But everyone who I've asked questions, everyone who I've asked to help me here
The community
is more than willing to help.
And I'm not going to toot my own gym's horn real quick, but I will call back to something that we did talk about a long time ago that you brought up with the Pacific Northwest. Not only powerlifting, but strength sports in general in the Pacific Northwest are primo. Like,
yes.
I've traveled a couple places for a couple different strength events, and by far I like where I'm from, where we do it the most.
Yep.
We have really good people around here. Not that people other places are worse.
No, but it's different.
But it's just the community around it, regardless of whose gym I'm at, whether it's mine, somebody else's, like all over the place.
Just
People have been really awesome.
It really has been. Just as like a general example, one of my best friends, doesn't really work out a lot. He's a firefighter cadet. That doesn't matter. So he works out. He goes to a gym. He works out.
He's an athletic human being.
He's an athletic human being. I'm like, hey, you should just try coming here and you'll understand why. The community is just so good.
Yeah.
Like the way that I
word
what?
Community public gym suck.
They really-
commercial.
Yeah,
Commercial gyms.
that one.
The way I met Jameson, I was 2 weeks out from my first competition. I asked somebody who knew Jameson, I was like, hey, can you help me squat? And he's like, I have no idea how to help you. I'm going to get somebody who does.
Yep.
And here I am six-ish months later, and I'm like, I've never had a greater coach. And that's just off of, I asked somebody for help, and here I am later, just because this community is awesome.
Yeah.
There has not been a better community I have found anywhere else than the powerlifting community, especially here. There is just not a better community I found.
And I'm going to add 2 things to this. Number 1 is everybody I've brought to a powerlifting gym is terrified the first day.
Yeah.
The second day, they're like, this is so much better. Because
it's
commercial gyms...
The first experience is always very
It was a little weird. And
Yeah.
I've got a little bit of a different scenario because I knew you.
Sure,
I
yeah.
knew... But at the same time, I was still scared coming into this gym for the first time.
Even still, I think there's a lot of negative competition in commercial gyms where everybody's kind of trying to show that they're better than you. And everybody's trying to vie for position. Everybody wants to be on the top of the hierarchy. And they're trying to fight for, I'm the bigger guy. I'm the most impressive person. I'm the strongest person.
There is an unspoken competition going on.
Or they're trying to hit on you. You know, it's one of those 2 things, right? So when you come to a private gym, like a commercial or like a powerlifting gym, or if in some cases a bodybuilding gym, everybody's training. We're here for a purpose.
Yes.
We're trying to improve and grow and develop ourselves as people and lifters. So when you come in, nobody's looking at you like, oh, he's weak. Oh, he's new. Oh, he's bad. They're looking at you and they're like,
I don't know that person.
I don't know you. What are you going to do? What do you do here? Why are you here? I want to know what's going on for you.
Yeah.
It's like one of the big things I've seen is like people who make fun of bigger people in a gym.
Mm-hmm.
We tell them to go to the gym to get fitter. Why do you make fun of them when they're there?
Yeah.
They are only there.
Crazy.
They are only there to improve themselves just like we are.
Mm-hmm.
So it just doesn't make sense. And that's what I like so much about a powerlifting gym.
We kind of are. This is still a competition.
This is a competition.
We're talking about the community around competitions. Competitive environments.
Tangents.
We've been talking about the environments for the last 32 minutes.
Hey.
I've been tracking.
We love tangents. We're big on tangents here.
All of us. When we get together outside
Kai does
of
work in the morning, so let's finish talking about
Yeah, you have
competitions,
to
and then
wake up in 7 hours.
we will shout out TNR Appliance, and then we will wrap up.
Okay, I want to talk about one thing. We'll talk about my last one for the notes for today. Pet peeves for competitions are fun,
Okay.
and this can be for any competition. I mean, like strength sports. Jackson, don't
Me
talk about
first.
football.
Me first.
I'll talk about basketball instead.
Nope.
Okay. And I want to preface this by saying I know some people. Don't worry about it.
It's on the counter. Okay, go ahead. We found a wrench or something. I don't know what that was.
I understand there can be a benefit to
I
it,
have no
and people do it for not all the reasons that I'm saying, but it just really annoys me. Over the top, aggressive lifting.
Oh my god, I know. Yeah.
I get it. If
There's
you
a
need to get in
place.
the mind space, okay, yeah. And maybe I'm just exactly the opposite of that. And I don't mean like aggressively taking the bar and lifting.
Yes.
Right? I mean
smack
like
the shit out of you before you're done.
literally
But it's like-
stomping around, grunting, making noises.
I have a
Like,
story that's going to make your point make sense.
okay,
There was a guy at a competition here a while ago, and this guy goes up, and it's like a 600-pound deadlift, which is a big deal, right?
Yeah.
But he goes up to this weight. He hit nose torque and pneumonia 4 times before he started even getting himself amped up. He goes and hits it. He's yelling every single time. There's a timer on the clock. He has like a minute to get the bar brush and everything, right? So he's like, he hits the ammonia, he starts screaming. He hits the ammonia, he starts screaming. He goes back a few times. He hits himself in the back of the head, in the face. He has his friend hit him in the face. He gets hit on the back. He starts stomping around.
I remember this guy.
Yeah, and he starts screaming and screaming. He's bouncing all over the place, like stepping on the ground.
He had long
steps
hair?
up. No, he didn't. And he gets up to the
Call
platform,
people out now.
and he marches up, and he stomps up on the ground a bunch of times, yells a couple more times, goes to the bar, pulls for a quarter of a second. He like tugs on it, lets it go. Nope, not there. And I'm like, buddy, like,
All of it.
it's like, oh my god.
And like, so what I mean, I think I want to elaborate on pet peeve a little bit. Is like, there's nothing wrong with doing this, right?
No, it's your time. You do what you want.
It
It's
doesn't
frustrating.
make sense.
It's frustrating.
I like it.
There's certainly
It makes you cringe.
Yeah,
That's a good way to put it. Yeah.
there's certainly a time and a place and a way to be angry, but when you step onto the stage, you have a place, you have something to do that you've worked for, and you have to be able to think about cues.
Oh, totally.
And
Agree.
you have to be able to think clearly.
I could give you a dissertation on why I think it's irresponsible.
Yes.
Do you have a pet peeve?
I would say putting weights away, but that's just a general pet peeve.
For like competition.
Ooh, like in
the
the
warm-up room?
Like
For
in the
warm-up
rooms?
Oh my god,
dude.
yeah.
Especially
big one.
because, like, it wasn't.
You've helped me clean up meats before,
Flight
bro.
I mean-
A, this is painful to
I'm bottom of fly B, so it's not terrible for me.
Yeah.
But it's like,
always in flight A.
it's just ridiculous. I mean, there's so many people at so many different weights, at so many different strengths,
Yeah.
that if you put, I squat a moderate amount of weight. If I put 225 on the bar as a warm up, I'm going to take that off because maybe someone comes up after me who's only going to squat 90 pounds.
Yeah.
Why would I make them take 225 off the bar?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Or, oh my gosh,
It's just-
this one drives me nuts. When you have like 3, maybe 4 flights, and flight C or D, whichever one it is, gets done with squatting, doesn't unrack any of their weights, and flight A is now going to bench, but all of the weights are loaded high up, because usually flight C and D are people that are bigger
Taller
mass, right? So they're usually taller too.
Yep.
And so the weights are not only all loaded, so the flight A needs to go get them, but they're also usually really high.
Yep.
Flight A is also, conversely, usually pretty small. So it's all these tiny people trying to get a bunch of weight off really high barbells, and it's just
I just feel like now
awful.
you guys are going to be giggling at us.
I'm
have
always giggling at you little.
One more thing, pet peeve that struck me.
What you got?
As somebody who's done spotting and loading quite a few
Ooh,
times.
Okay, yeah.
Although this isn't
We didn't even
all
there's
about.
so much we didn't talk about.
Although
This is gonna be like multi-episode topic
I'm glad
because
in
we're
the-
gonna need a
In
lot.
the
I'm glad we
post, I
didn't
put
watch.
competitions 1.
Okay.
Okay.
And I was
As-
like, yeah.
Although it's not necessarily, I'm not competing. One, spotting and loading is difficult. I would rather compete than spot and load 100% of the
all day long.
My pet peeve as a spotter and loader, especially on squatting, as a side spotter, squatters, this isn't like a bad thing, they just drop. That's fine if that's just how you squat.
Yeah.
It scares the
It's always-
shit out of
It's
me.
always the worst
Every
on their first
single
attempt.
time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It is still bad on their second and their third.
But you
Yeah.
know it's coming.
Yeah, when you're this is the
Yeah.
guy, right? You are.
It's just one of those
you ever
things where-
spotted a loader to meet with a dropper? You remember
the dropper.
Yes. It's just one of
You
those.
do.
It's one of those
Yeah.
things where it's like, if I touch your weight while you're going
I feel
down,
bad.
that's my fault.
Yeah.
I fucked up your lift.
Yep.
But if I'm sitting there getting ready and I'm a little nervous, if you have 400 pounds loaded on the bar, I have to catch that if you fail.
Yep.
I'm going to be a little bit nervous.
And then the next thing I know, it is free
the
falling.
next thing I know,
Yeah.
it's almost in my hands. It's one of those things where it's like, please go slower. And it's not one of those things. It's like, I
Change
understand.
your squat.
I like it. Yeah, this is a good take.
I understand certain people just squat that way, and I'm not going to diss on anybody that does.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things where it's like,
Yeah.
as a side spotter loader, it scares me.
Yes.
This is a
It
good take.
truly
That
does.
does take a lot, actually. It's fun. I want to add on also, like, you talked about the spotting load, or like unracking.
Yeah.
Right? There's so many times I've been to meets, and if you're coaching, your job is to rack and unrack weights for your lifter because they have to be in a specific place at a specific time.
Yes.
Your job is to handle them, unrack their weights. Go do it. Put them in line.
If they feel like it and they're not a super advanced lifter and they want to chat while they're warming up and unrack weights for their warm-ups, okay, that's fine.
Yep.
If you, yes.
Lifters done warming up, they go to platform, you unload for them.
Yes.
And if you're there and there's still weights that are loaded, you unload them, whether that's your client or not, because that's what you do.
I like that etiquette.
Really,
That's a good, yeah.
Something that really happened to me that I really liked is when I was prepping, I think I was like really top of my flight. I was bottom of my flight for my first competition, and I was deadlifts. I was deadlifts. So it was deadlifts, and I was waiting to warm up because it was the beginning of my flight. I had like one set of deadlifts left just to get ready. And
time check.
It is 8:26.
Oh my gosh.
talk forever. And I went to unload weights to help somebody, and their coach was like, "No, you're competing. Stay there. I'll do it for you."
Yeah.
Yep.
And it was just one of those things where it was like, that was just such a good experience.
Another good
with
community.
that.
Right?
Really?
Thing.
Yeah.
That was I went and
That's
loaded and unloaded weights at the competition and regionals that we went to the next day after I competed because I wasn't lifting and I was in the warm up room.
Yep.
I'm there. I'm gonna do it.
I'm gonna have a job. I'm gonna be helpful.
I'm gonna do it because you guys shouldn't be doing it. Yes.
Do you have a pet peeve, friend?
Oh God, I have so many. The one that we talked a little bit earlier about chalk, and
Oh yeah.
and this is something I want to talk about just because it's so common in gyms and in meets, and it is do not crush a chalk block ever for any reason because you're just being a douchebag to everybody else. Because if I come up to the chalk bowl for my last deadlift and it's dust, I'm pissed. And that's just you guys being rude to me because we have not done enough deadlifts in one day to run an entire block down. That's crazy. And it's just like at the very last end of the day too.
It's negligence.
It's negligence.
That's
Don't ruin somebody
generalized.
else's day.
In the gym in general too.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just
absolutely.
Mhm.
if I walk up to the bowl and it's half full of powder, I'm not scooping powder out with my hands.
No, I will.
I want
Yeah,
a
if I
block
have
of
to.
chalk.
Obviously, I prefer
Well,
a block. Yes,
yeah.
of course.
Somebody pays for that, Jake, to buy chalk and bring it in the gym and keep it stocked.
Or Tom. Shout out Tom.
Logan also brought in chalk too.
Oh, let's go, Logan. Yes, he did.
A while ago,
Yeah.
yeah, we just
Shout
ran
out
out that
Logan
set, I
too.
So yeah, super, super cool. These guys are great. We really appreciate that. But don't do it. Like for any reason. Like if you're so hyped up that you can't figure out how to brush a block of chalk on your hand, you have another problem, see a therapist.
And if it's shitty chalk and it like you rub it a little bit and it breaks, okay.
That's fine.
Don't
That's
use
fair.
the big piece. Grab the little piece
Yes, thank
and
you.
use the piece that you
That or-
broke off.
If there's little crumbs, I don't mind putting it between your hands and just crushing it if it's a little block.
If
But
a
if
little
it's
bit
a
of
giant
chalk,
We should make a video on how to like
use chalk.
Step by
Yeah.
step, how to rub chalk on your hands.
But yeah, that's a big thing for me. It's just it goes right alongside with there's a big thing in like the mid 2010s to like late 2010s where people would put baby powder in the chalk bowl to like purposely try to ruin people's
That's
competition.
crazy.
Yeah, don't do it.
That's
We're all here.
unreal.
We're all here doing our best. We've all been through months of training. We've all tried to cut our body weight or build up into a body weight. Just let everybody do what they can do.
Regardless of if I'm competing against you, I still want you to do your best.
100%. And that's
That's the whole
most
community.
people in the competitions
I saw
face.
somebody put baby powder on their hands at regionals.
I'm not surprised. It does happen because people just don't know.
Yeah.
But they're actively putting it on their hands.
No, a
on
coach
purpose.
was like, "Okay, well let's do the thing," and then they went over to the baby powder, and I was
oh my god!
I was-
pick good coaches.
Yeah.
Also, oh my
a
god.
whole different conversation.
I saw somebody put chalk
we
on
need
their
another
shins for
episode for
deadlifts.
that.
Yeah, I don't want to
Chalk
get too.
on
I just
shins?
Yeah.
you unlocked that memory. That
Yeah,
wasn't
yeah.
like I don't want to talk about this.
I
This
know.
was like I had to say this before I forgot again
Yeah.
because that was like I watched it happen, but I was like coaching at the time. Or something,
Yeah,
I don't remember.
Hold
And
on.
so I like
Wait a minute.
filed that away and what the fuck.
It's my what the fuck folder. It's like, wait a minute.
Yeah. And the
Anyways.
first time I saw a weasel was that.
Yeah.
I was like crazy. I was like, I don't know what this is.
Yeah, I really hope I don't.
yeah. Yeah.
I'm not gonna finish that sentence.
Okay. Yeah. No. Pick good coaches. Be a nice person in competitions. People care a lot. People try really hard. People are putting a lot of effort and time and thought in what they're doing. Don't ruin it for them. Why would you purposely try to make somebody else's experience worse? We all love this. That's why we're doing it.
Just be considerate. We all put in a ton to be there.
Yep.
Right.
Especially at the top level, people understand that how much that other people put into this. So it's one of those things where it's
Yeah.
like, I know how much you work on it because I do that too. So I still want you to do your best because I want to do my best.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where it's like, I've put in years of work and I know you've done the same thing. Why would I want to sabotage you?
I'm going potty.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I expected when he was going to go do
Oh,
it.
I saw him get up. I thought there was like an emergency or a fire outside, honestly.
I don't know. I wouldn't have been surprised if we wouldn't shut the garage door.
Oh, I guess that's fair too. That would make sense. We have 2 garage doors that open up. It's pretty cool. You should come see it. Sign up for the gym.
It's a great gym.
Shameless promo.
Very shameless promo. We've plugged
Yeah.
this gym quite a few times in this video.
It's a great gym. I mean,
It
like,
is.
it really is. Jake talking about the community being really good, it is a little bit of a statement because he did build the community here to be as good as it is, for sure. But it's a huge statement because it is so much fun, and there's so many people who are newly exposed to powerlifting through this space because it's so welcoming and inviting, and it's so easy to be a part of.
It's what I mentioned earlier. It's one of those things where it's like you're scared to do it the first time. Once you come to one of these gyms a singular time, you will never want to go back to LA Fitness.
People welcome you immediately.
I think just a couple of days ago, a new guy walked in the gym. I walked over, I shook his hand, and I was like, "Welcome to the gym." Yeah. This is just welcome to the gym. And it's one of those things where it's just like everyone here is kind, and everyone here is more than willing to help you.
Yeah, I mean, like what I talked about earlier is a great example because like it's part of the community. You go talk to people, you go see who they are.
Yeah.
I usually give people a few days, make sure you're going to be here for a minute. You're not just like visiting for the day, but I'm going to go like introduce myself. Say, hey, I don't know you. Like my name's Jameson. I want to talk to you. What do you do here? What are you doing about? Are you going to compete? Yes or no? And if you're not, do it anyway.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where it's like the way that I met you. I had never talked to Taylor.
Yep.
Ever. And I just saw he was squatting a shit ton of weight on the rack next to me. And I was like, he probably knows what he's doing.
Nope.
So, not at all. But still a shit ton of weight. I was like,
very strong.
Very strong.
Yeah. He's very good.
It was one of those things where it was just like, I was scared to go ask. You can ask Olivia. She was here.
Oh, yeah.
She was like, just go ask. And I'm like,
he's big. He's scary.
He's big and scary. I don't want to.
Yeah.
outside.
But I went and asked anyways, and here I am 6 months later. It's one of those things where it's just like the community is just awesome.
Yeah.
And there is no other way to put it.
We're plugging your gym.
Yay! Love that for
We're
me.
continuing to talk about the community here.
Okay. Yeah, it's pretty good. Honestly, I'm really happy with there was some times in gym ownership where I was like, God, there's a lot of people at the gym that I don't enjoy being around. Right now I feel really good about everybody that comes.
Yep.
There's nobody that walks in the door and I'm like, I don't really want to talk to you or interact with you.
The community at this gym is so much better than literally anywhere else.
Yeah, you've been like 4 places.
It's a strong community, though. It really is. The thing that
I'm talking about communities anywhere.
Yes, I appreciate.
I'm not just talking about community, gym community. Yes.
I want to wrap this topic of the community into one idea because the biggest factor for me going to a gym is how many new lifters are you creating? Because this is a huge thing. The fact that where you find passion is where I want to be.
Yeah.
And people who are coming, when you can come to a gym and you see somebody show up to their first meet at that gym or from that gym, and you can see you started coming from like a 24-hour fitness and LA Fitness, you came here and now you're on a platform, that's a really cool process for somebody to go through because there has to be so much support. There has to be so much support for you to get to that point, right? And you know that it came from your gym because they're here with you all the time. That's a freaking cool feeling. I love that.
Hardcore home teamers.
Yeah. People that come in this gym usually will at least compete once, and that's a strong statement for the community here.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah.
Pet peeves. Anything else?
I'm gonna leave it with the chalk because I have so many.
Okay.
Brushing the bars, relating with chalk.
Fair. Yeah.
Okay. Fair.
I understand.
Yeah, people
some
that
chalk.
take the bar.
Yeah.
I'm talking like you walk away and I can blow it off.
I'm going to talk about this in the gym because you should just be brushing the bars. Chalk oxidizes the bar. It's going to rust it. Why are you breaking it? Why are you ruining equipment?
It does.
Just take a brush.
Rude.
It takes a minute to chalk both sides of that bar, and it's clean, and you put it away, and it's done. That's why there's wire brushes. Use them, please.
We just got brand new ones hanging around.
Shout out Park Rose Hardware.
Let's go.
I'm pretty sure those are grill brushes.
Yes.
Speaking of sponsors,
Look at that.
Great set.
in the bathroom. Thank you for still talking about chalk.
I love that.
I want to shout out TNR Appliance. Tim, the owner, actually works out here. He found the gym. This is a cool story. Right about the same time I was looking to buy the gym, he was here on a promoted class. Basically, like on Instagram, Craig went through and like said, hey, I'm looking for 8 to 12 men, this age, blah, 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 men or women, whatever, I don't remember. Yeah. But like targeted ad, found him, he came in, really fell in love with the community and everything, and I bought the gym, and he stuck around after the class because he paid for the class, and it was, X sessions or whatever, and then he finished, and I was the owner by the time he finished, and he goes, can I sign up? And I said, absolutely, dude. Okay, so that being said, TNR Appliance, TNR stands for the nicer repairman. He works on me too. Because he is a great dude. Tim is just a fantastic, first of all, he's a giant.
He's a big guy, and he's also always laughing. Him and his buddy come in here, they're having a great time.
His buddy, I want to talk about Micah for a second too. This is not sponsored at all, because I'm just going way off topic. Micah looks like a dwarf. You know,
like a Lord of the Rings.
Yes, like if we dress this dude up. I don't mean like small person.
Yeah.
Because he's a regular size. He's 5'6", 5'7".
Yeah.
But he's just built, bro. And he's got this beard.
He'll make you a sword, bro. I swear.
Anyways,
I was thinking like one of those pirate dudes that have those big frothy beer mugs.
Yes.
Yeah.
Micah and Tim. Okay.
Yes.
Tim owns the company. Micah's just his friend.
Mm-hmm.
Our fridge here, actually. Do you remember when drinks used to explode
So
all
funny.
the time? It was the worst. And
you just hear a pop, and you're like, "Oh my god!"
Would. Yes. And then I would come in the morning, and the whole
just
window is just frozen.
Yeah.
And
The first time I saw that, I was very confused.
Yes. So really, without even asking him, I brought it up to him. No, he brought it up to me because there's no drinks in there, and he goes, "What's up with the refrigerator?" And he goes, and I said, "Well, blah blah blah." I explained the situation to him, and he goes, "Oh, I got a guy. I'll have a guy come look at it." So I didn't do anything. I let his guy in the gym. He checked it out. Didn't say a word. He left. Next time I see Tim, he goes, "Hey, we got your part coming in. He's going to come in and fix it." Within a week, they had the part I needed, fixed the fridge, never had an issue with it since.
Yeah.
I cannot say enough good things about Tim, the company he runs. I think the guy's name was, I'm making this up. I'm so about to make this name up. I'm going with Felix.
Okay.
He was an old dude. And it feels right.
Just making up names.
I tried to get him to come to the gym. He didn't want to.
Yeah.
Anyways, shout out TNR Appliance. They are an amazing company, local to the Pacific Northwest. I don't know how far their reach goes.
Yep.
They do awesome stuff. They're great for.
If you need a stronger promotion, then I didn't even ask for it to be fixed.
Yeah.
And it was.
Oh, by the way, didn't pay for any of it. He just helped me. Right? And I'm not saying he's going to just help you.
But he's the nicer repairman.
Yeah.
And it's the truest name of all time.
It kind of just speaks for itself. Tim's amazing. I really can't say enough to thank TNR for
I don't have my glasses
sponsoring our competition coming up. She's telling us the laptop's about to die. I'm wrapping up right now. God.
I can't read that.
No.
Don't have anything else to talk about. Shout out TNR Appliance and Tim.
You guys are great.
They're the sponsor of this episode, so you can thank them for competitions. #1.
Let's go. That's it.
Good night.
Have a good night, everybody.